Everybody, welcome to another edition of Call Live here on a special Sunday night. Due to some scheduling things, we had to move it around, but we are here live on Sunday. Tonight, I am welcomed by my Turn Up to 11 co-host, Mr. Paul Denuzio. Hopefully, Danie Ramirez will be joining us with the broadcast in progress. Paul, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. Like I said, I told you beforehand, you said, fuck me, and I get it. I love daylight savings time at this point because I work overnight, so I got to get paid for 8 hours of work, and I only had to work 7 of them. So it was great for me. I'm looking at watching that 1 o'clock go to 3 o'clock. I loved it. That's probably what fucked up Danie today, too, obviously. But she'll be here. I know she will. We love having her on. But it's good to see you, man. How you been?
I'm good. It's the one good thing for me is the daylight savings time always falls on that Saturday, so I don't do anything on Sundays anyway. So just another day. I did get confused every time I would go in the kitchen and the old microwave clock is wrong, and I'm like, what is going on here? Am I traveling through time? Paul, glad you're celebrating. Your daylight savings time. New parents, they lose an hour of sleep, and they don't get that much sleep anyway because babies don't know what daylight savings time is. And speaking of new parents, we are joined tonight by a new parent. You may know him from his epic debut in the movie trivia Schmoedown, absolutely crushing all Southern Baptist ministers in the Schmoedown community. I don't know what he is. Who knows? He doesn't know what he is, I don't think. We are joined by Mr. Frankie the Animal Alvarez. What's up, Frankie?
Good evening, gents. It's a little late on my end, PLD. I know you get that. Us East Coasters a little late. You got a neighbor? Look at that. You got an animal coming in. The animal sense the animal.
That's right. The animal sense that's what it is. This cat loves me. He's a ham. He comes on every time. He waits all the time until I go live. Once I go live, he's like, "Oh wait, now I got to get on screen."
That's right. Cats, they have a sixth sense of humor. I'm telling you. But hey, guys, thanks for having me back. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, it's great having you on.
Appreciate you guys having me. I know we tried doing something a couple weeks ago, but as you guys said, my daughter was born and I wasn't able to make it.
Something happened, and we were
yeah.
But we said, all right, well, let's slide this one. It's okay. But how's that been going? Let's talk about that first. I mean, how's that life as a parent?
It's great, man. It's great. I'm lucky enough to have the best wife imaginable. I love when people do that on like Mother's Days, Father's Days, and birthdays, and they're like, I have the best dad imaginable. I've always wanted to be that person that just picks a fight with them. Just be like, dude, your dad sucks. But my wife is so incredible, and this is my first biological child. She does have a son from a previous relationship, my stepson. So her already going through this and knowing the things to look out for, the things to not really worry too much about it quells my fears and it levels and evens me out because I can be a little neurotic sometimes.
Can't we all?
Yeah.
That's gotta be a nice safety net. Like something happens to the baby and you just kind of like look at your wife like, is this normal? Is this all right? Like what do we do?
Dude, I don't even need to give her the look. She knows exactly to be like, oh, that's fine. Like that's okay. And I'm the type of person where, I get new pots and pans and I have to put them in like very specifically in order to make sure there are no dents or scratches. So with a baby, I'm like super like fucking careful now.
Of course. Well, just in time, we are now joined by my lovely co-host. Paul, you're not lovely. You're a terrible person. Ms. Danielle Ramirez. There she is.
Hi, everyone. So sorry I'm late.
That's okay. Yeah, not Danielle.
Oh, I'm PLD. All right.
We insulted the guest already by calling him PLD. What a terrible start to the interview.
Question to the chat: whose hat is better, PLD's or Frankie's? Ooh.
Oh, they're both. They're both iconic. Let's be honest. They're both the best at what they do.
Well, I'll agree with half of that statement.
Well, I'm a massive Queen fan, but I hate PLD, so I can't choose his hat. But I'm a lifelong Orioles fan, so I definitely can't pick your hat.
Hey man, you're stuck right in the middle.
Yeah, it's a rough enough life being an Orioles fan. So
No, you ain't wrong.
That's true. Oh my god, I do actually feel pity for you on that one, Billy. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, I pity myself. It's fine. But we're not here to talk about how terrible the Orioles are. We're here to talk about how amazing Frankie Alvarez is. And as we alluded to, Frankie made his Schmoedown debut in an epic confrontation with one brother. It's Lomas? Is that it? Lomas? I want to say Loomis. I always want to call him Loomis, but it's Lomas. Frankie, how is your thoughts on your debut?
I did, hey Mike, what's up, baby? This is all I gotta say after that. I came out victorious. Hey man, it was great, and I've and the person that I am, I've kept an ear to the ground, listened to all the after shows, and listen to people talk about the match, and boy, I got a bone to pick with some people. I got some bones to pick with some people, but it was a great time. Obviously I'm elated because I won. If I lost, I walked upstairs afterward and my wife was like, and I just gave her the nod and she was like, yeah, but I feel really good, man. I feel great. I definitely had no clue going into the match who I was going up against, and man, he talks a lot of smack, and sometimes you can't understand most of it, but my guy brought the heat. Brother Lomas, he knows his stuff, and I think him being this mystery really was a smart move on him and Gucci's part.
Right. Well, that's actually one of the things I brought up. I was going to bring up before is that he had probably the most weirdest beginnings to the season. That everybody in their mind was on after shows, promoting themselves. You were there. I mean, you were running the circuit. Everybody kind of ran the circuit, introducing themselves, and he wasn't able to, which is probably a smart move in a way. You gotta make that surprising debut. He was actually due to be. I'll put this out. He was actually due to be on the same show with you initially. That was originally supposed to be the twosome until he said, "Oh, I didn't told I can't do it now." But now he has his debut. It's been built up so much, even though he lost, people are still talking about him a lot. Does that bother you? Does that is that that people almost it's saying, "Oh, how's that settling?" I kind of feel
Yeah, that's the biggest thing that's really frustrated me is, listen, it was almost like the writing was on the wall. People were going to talk about him after the match, of course, but people are talking about him as if he came out with the victory, and the fact of the matter is that he didn't. Did he come in and did he prove that he knows his stuff and, his movie trivia? Absolutely. Did he come in and did he spit some fire? Absolutely he did. But the fact of the matter is that all that took away from those points he could have gotten round 3, and, the disrespect, and I'll call it disrespect, from other people who I'll keep nameless because, I don't want to go at them unless they're here, but the disrespect in the fact that the two biggest parts of the conversation after the match are the loser and then the rookie mistake in I Am Robot. And listen, I know we'll get to that when we go over the match. But yeah, people really, really, really are taking the wrong thing from this. I think they see Lomas and wow, he's going to be around. He's going to be around. Well, guess what? He ain't going to be around if he keeps losing. I'll tell you that. So he needs to get a win first.
There you go. There you go.
That's right.
There's that fire. That's that Schmoedown fire. Frankie, you're coming in hot with this news, and I love it. It's great. Do you feel like you're going to have a constant grudge with Brother Loomis?
I mean, for lack of better terms, you always remember your first, and I hope that as I remember Brother Lomas and, hope to see him one day down the road, I hope he remembers me. And the fact of the matter is that I got my eyes set on what's next, whatever that may be. And that if he goes on to this illustrious, Adam Collins-like run, there's one thing he hasn't been able to do. There's one hill he hasn't been able to climb. You know what I'm saying? Let's see what happens.
All right.
Right. Well, let's actually get into the matches from this past week. We are going to definitely take a deep dive into your match. It was not the first match of the week. The first match of the week we saw John Humphrey make his return to the IG ring against another mysterious competitor that we don't know that much about, in Saul. And this match was a weird match. Let me tell you right now, Danie, what were your thoughts on the John Humphrey and Saul match?
I gotta tell you, this wasn't a match that, matches that usually drop early in the week. It's not that they're less exciting than what drops on Friday or anything like that, but this might have been my least most anticipated match of the week. But after watching it, that match was great. That was such a fun match. A big show out from Saul. Saul really came to show everyone what he's been working with, what he's doing. I loved his little shtick with throwing the card behind him. That was a lot of fun. John Humphrey just not coming in as the same competitor that we saw last year. And no shade to John at all, because I love John Humphrey. I think he's a wonderful player inside of the Schmoedown, and I hope that we do continue to see him. It's just a shame that Saul is on this path of destruction right now, and he's ready to take down a lot of people, and you can see it in him. I absolutely enjoyed this match very much. First TKO of the season.
First KO.
Knock him out.
I'm sorry. That was disrespectful. It's KO.
In the new system, that's very important to differentiate between KOs and TKOs, because you get that bonus point for the KO, and the other team loses a point, which is
why the Coy's team there, the Berks, are now at -1 overall in the season.
First time in Schmoedown history, somebody's at -1.
But you know what? I like the fact that Coy's owning it. It's like, hey, it's something no one's ever done before.
Yeah. Coy, always showing the positive with Coy. Frankie, what did you think of that match?
I mean, the match and Saul's performance speaks for itself. He came in and he was laser focused. He's on a warpath. I think I really, really, truly do. I heard from him yesterday. Via another show that he crashed, and he's got his eyes set on the future, and I think he's out there to prove a point, not only to everybody else, but to prove a point to himself. I think from everything that we've heard from him, he was pretty disappointed in himself after that last match. Having someone that's determined and willing to put in the time to get better is pretty scary. And he proved that he is he's definitely early on a force to be reckoned with. I think Humphrey, I think if Saul had a bit more competition in that match, it might have been a little different. When you see those points starting to stack up on your end and not the other person's end, that confidence on your end starts to build and build and build and build. But if you got someone that's neck and neck and you need to keep your cool as they're kind of doing their thing, it's a different mindset going into it. So let's see what happens wherever he may go next.
Yeah. I actually was going to say, like, last year he had his debut match, and I thought he was impressive then, even though he lost the match, but he still made a good opening debut. He worked his ass off. He came in this one. It's actually interesting that you say that, because he did obviously roll through 19-6 with the final or whatever. But what I liked mostly was what he said afterwards, was that he wasn't like satisfied with, oh, yeah, I kicked ass, so let's move forward, I'm ready to go. He was like, I'm pissed off at the things I missed still. So he's still working on things. He's still got it in his head that he's still got some holes to fill. And I think it's going to be an interesting year for Saul. I think he's made improvements already. I felt like his game this time was actually even better than his debut. And we got a long year ahead of us now with a great proper team behind us. All the teams are obviously studying more. They're getting more inside the set, making this more and more a real mental sport. If the right team is behind him and he's putting in the work, I could see him really being challenging for a possible title later on in the year. It depends on which it goes. He's got to put the work in. He's still got a little bit of work to do, but this is a pretty impressive match for him to start with. I
mean, don't say you could see, because I keep an ear to the ground. All right. And on the after show with Frankie Numbers and Gilmore, you said he has a 45% chance to be an Intergeekdom champion at the end of this year.
I did.
45.
To be fair, To be fair, I called Brad. I didn't realize Brad was live. I was calling about something completely different. He put me on the spot. I might have overestimated by 45 a little bit. Maybe it might be a little bit less. A little bit less.
You guys didn't hear about this, huh? Oh, you didn't hear about this.
Oh, they did hear about this. I didn't broadcast it.
Paul does not speak for call to action most of the time.
I'm a developer right now. 45 is high, okay? We're going gaga over a guy who, first of all, a KO says more about your competition than yourself. A lot of times TKOs are actually more impressive than KOs because TKOs you tend to have to answer more questions. You have to get so many points that even if they answer their 2, 3, and 5, that they can't catch you. Like the John Humphrey is a very streaky competitor. He runs extremely hot and cold. When he is hot, he is on it. When he is cold, we saw what happened. Okay, and then also, not only is he a streaky competitor, he ran into Spider-Man, which was like the weirdest Spider-Man questions I've ever seen in my life. Like, what did he bring to Thanksgiving dinner? Are you kidding me? Like,
hold on. I agree with that to an extent, but you got to think. Marvel and DC as categories, they are going to be deeper cut because they are the most popular movies in the world.
Sure.
People watch these movies. People spend and dedicate days, hours, weeks of their lives coming up with going frame by frame in these movies. So if you're gonna go, with a Spider-Man category, which I think it was his first spin, you need to expect, high risk, high reward.
Yep. Oh, that was the mistake he made when he took Spider-Man, because I would not pick or take as a first choice something like Spider-Man, because the categories like Marvel. So they make Marvel questions, right? And if they get a hard Spider-Man question in Marvel, they'll be like, "Oh, we should just move that to Spider-Man." Like you're more likely to get because it's a broader category. You're more likely to get broader categories in those categories or broader questions.
Whoa. I will agree that in a way it's kind of like, because there's intergeekdom slices in the singles division. Obviously, those are the easiest of the intergeekdom type questions as far as the league goes. Then you have intergeekdom round 1. And so intergeekdom specific categories like Marvel, DC make it even harder. Now you're taking specific characters from that, makes it even harder. The argument against that, though, is if you're going to put that on the wheel, you could usually have a deep dive on just the Spider-Man movies. There's only there's the 3 Tobey Maguire ones, the 2 Andrew Garfield ones, and the 2
and Spider-Verse
ones, and then Spider-Verse. It's a little less that you have to concentrate on. So it's a category that you could potentially ace in the intergeekdom category if you really want to go in there. However, it is, like Billy does said, it is definitely going to be more of the deeper cut variety.
I think that's going to be something that we're going to see this season with these categories being broken up the way they are, with the Batman, the Superman, and individual character categories. I think that's definitely something that we're going to see. We're going to see these questions upped a little bit more. We're going to see some more of the deeper cuts in these individual categories, and maybe even a broader range in the overall Marvel categories and DC categories and stuff like that. You never know.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's kind of like the opposite of the singles division, because in the singles division, what a lot of people will do is they'll take the narrow categories and just focus on those and become an expert in that category so they can dominate the wheel that way. In IG, most of the IG competitors are studying so much into these movies. They'll take a broader category because they think that the questions are probably not going to be as deep a dive, as opposed to hitting something like Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings. The questions that have been on the wheel for years. We've had and obviously there are repeat questions, but they've already dove deep into them, so there's more likely to get more repeat deep dives. But again, it's like Saul was impressive. But again, he left points on the board with steals, and it's less impressive when it's a multiple choice and you don't get the steal. Like, okay, you have a 1 out of 3 chance of stealing a point, and you don't do it. Like, that works now because you're playing up somebody who didn't score many points at all. When you're facing the Chandrus, the Maras, the Kalinowskis, the Chances, the Robert Parkers, the top of the IG division, which is where Saul wants to be, he's not going to be able to do that. You got to close those gaps. You got to be able to take steals. Don't leave points on the board. So I mean, but a win is a win, as we always say. Doesn't matter how you get there, and it's a KO. He gets the bonus point. So
that's the
he
bottom
did what
line.
he had to do to not only win, but to knock out his opponent.
You can only answer what's in front of you. You can only play the opponent that's in front of you each time. That's what he did. That's what he did. Another interesting point about real quick the Spider-Man Superman thing, real quick, I'll throw it in there, is that the difference between these are new categories, but they have been in categories for years, like you said. Like, and a lot of times you're going to see in the singles division, all the new categories, it's like kind of been a recurring strategy. Like, oh, this slice hasn't been chosen yet. It's going to be the most surface level of the questions at this point. And it's not always true, but it's been a strategy that's kind of been working at this point. But with Spider-Man, so that they have been in there already. They already have had the surface level questions. So it's almost like having an old slice.
I think something that we've at least, I think we've heard Christian speak about this, a couple times at this point is the writers are taking an approach to the game where, they're making the questions. Are they tough? Absolutely. Are they deep dives? Absolutely. But they're out, like, it's possible to get them. You know what I mean? Like, it's not something that someone's going to, I've watched, The Mask 500 million times. There's, the questions are going to be things that a less casual, more casual, I guess, fan of that movie would be able to look at, So I think that, the game is being, I don't want to say changed, but definitely adjusted in order to make sure that, are they tough questions? Yes, but you need to be able to have at least some sort of an idea. I mean, listen, I haven't seen Spider-Man 3 in probably, fun fact, I went to the premiere of Spider-Man 3 because it opened in Queens, New York. Wow. And I knew the Cromwell and the basketball question, and I don't study for IG, so, I think it's just Saul went up against someone who is outspoken, not being a fan of studying, really not, much more casual in terms of their play style. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens when he does get put in front of someone, who has made noise in the IG division over the last few seasons.
Right. 100% rematch with Brandon Hanna could come soon, depending on the outcome of, which we'll get to later on, previewing the Hanna Zipper match.
Yeah, Paul, quit foreshadowing. All right, pipe down.
It's called the plug for later on. It's called the plug.
All right, so we're gonna move on to our next match of the week. A little match between two new competitors. I don't really know anything about either one of them, but
you and me both.
With the amount of matches.
Our guest of honor, Mr. Frankie Alvarez and one brother Lomas. Frankie, what were your thoughts heading into the match? Like, were you confident on?
Did you like being matched up with brother Lomas, already, given how we already had the introduction, how it was going down? When you found out, I'm going to be the guy who faces brother Lomas first.
Oh, I mean, I remember. Going into it, in my whole life, I've had to deal with, weirdos on the internet, just trying to, just get under my skin. And I'm sure you guys have had your experience dealing with those people too. But it felt only fitting. It felt like, full circle for me as an individual. So, of course, I remained confident, but I was the type of person I am. I try to be realistic in my approach to a lot of things in life. And, I prepare for the worst and expect the worst in the way that I am. So I really tried to focus on myself. You hear so many people talk about, it's strategy, to know who you're going up against and what they're good at, what they're bad at and stuff like that. And for a second, I tried, coming up with something that, he might not be good at, but I was like, you know what, instead, let me take the time to focus on myself.
It's a good call. It's always a weird strategy I've always wondered about as far as that goes, because it seems like there's so many ways you can go. Do you pick something that's you are the one at, or do you pick something that they're not the one at, kind of thing? It's always kind of like that, because it seems like there's so much pros and cons either way, and I wouldn't know what I'd want to do, to be honest with you. I'm almost glad I'm not in that position to have to choose.
Yeah, it was there were some rookie mistakes on my part, which I'm sure we'll get to in the match. There were some rookie big time mistakes on the other part. But one thing if any other competitors are listening, don't ever reveal if you have spun what you put on the wheel. And that's something that they did, which people are now going to know something moving forward on him. And if he had just, whether it would be because of him or Gucci, you know, now we know that Chris Nolan is something that he enjoys and puts on the wheel, you know, so a little small mistake on their part.
Absolutely. For someone who has been touted for his mystery and everything else, that was kind of way too revealing. But I agree with that.
Yeah, there's a long history in the Schmoedown of people revealing strengths or weaknesses that has come back to haunt them. You know, I feel like never give anything away. Like, if you're happy you got something, don't let on about it. And if you're upset you got something, you know, Jeff Snyder for years has been upset anytime Marvel Comics, anything IG related has been mentioned in his presence, let alone in a Schmoedown match. So
I think my favorite thing that I've seen from the couple of rookie matches, like total rookie matches that we've seen this season so far, is that, you know, we go into the season extremely hyped up. We hype up a lot of players. Brother Loomis had a lot of hype behind him. Other people have had a bunch of hype behind them. And then we get to the match and we realize that, you know, they can bleed. So not the best round 3 for Brother Loomis, but still, you know, what were you thinking, Frankie, going in from round 2, going into round 3?
You know, I had more confidence going from 2 to 3 than I did from 1 to 2. And, you know, I just tried to capitalize on that and just remain composed. And, you know, after I did what I did and kind of pulled what I pulled, without challenges, may I add,
buddy, by the skin of your teeth.
Or by the skin of my teeth. That's right. But, you know, I kind of just, I left it in the hands of, you know, the powers that Lomas was, you know, speaking about all this time. And you know, I'm the type of person when I go up in a plane, I'm like, all right, I accept that I chose to die in this, if that's what happens, you know? So in that round 3, I was like, I choose to do what I do, and then let's see what happens as a result.
Right. Now that you had that category in round 2, that James Stewart category, and you did very well with it. You did very, very well with it, considering it's not a category that people expect the younger generation type people to know. That's usually the Bibiani, the classics. Oh, well, I should say that was Poyama say classics, obviously. But so I know you're not going to say whether you're excited or not, but have you been studying? Did you study specifically outside your realm a lot more than you had before? Like, or is this something that's new to you?
Yes and no. I think my approach to kind of figuring out stuff is I have gone through with my teammates, by the way, have been absolutely stellar, you know, in helping me. You know, Boston Badass, Page for Betty, Amaru Moses, you know, everyone has been so helpful. And in our approach, we've really said, like, all right, look, these are the things that we know we're not great at. You know, these are the things that we know that we need to work more in. So let's hammer those down first. Because, you know, granted, we're still young and people don't necessarily know what our weaknesses are, but we want to put ourselves in a situation where they can't say, oh, we're playing, you know, we're playing Frank. We know exactly what to throw up there that he's not going to be good at, you know? So, really just kind of, you know, as an individual, I've been, you know, really doing deep dives into what I don't know and just kind of, you know, adding some support structurally to the stuff I'm good at.
Yeah, so, you know, getting in the match, round 1, you fall behind a little early. You come back. Keep it within striking distance, as they say. We go into round 2. He spins away from the first category. I can't remember what it was.
First category he spun was
it
Akira Kurosawa. Yeah.
So he spins away from Kurosawa. He gets Nolan, which Gucci celebrates like the match is over. He puts up an impressive number. So he's sitting there with, you know, a nice lead, and then you spin Jimmy Stewart, and you know it's like Paul said, like, or alluded to, like, based on like your interviews before the Schmoedown with us and with other people, I never would have guessed that Jimmy Stewart was like something that you would be comfortable with enough to keep and then like and do so well in. So that was very impressive. How did you feel heading into the third? Like, well, Daniel already asked that. Actually, let's just get some elephant in the room.
Danielle, he's trying to steal your thunder. You hear that, right?
No, I'm used to it. I'm used to this. So everyone else gets the credit.
Paul always steals her thunder and just takes credit for everything she does. So. But let's get to the elephant in the room, actually. A certain answer about a Will Smith movie. I Am Robot. Did you immediately think like, oh, wait, I said the wrong thing? Or
no. I hadn't noticed it until the playback, until I watched the match myself. And to put it lightly, can I curse on here?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I was fucking mortified. First of all, there's a joke in my family. It's the Alvarez family luck. We always joke that if we didn't have bad luck, we'd have no luck. And of course, I have my brother-in-law and sister-in-law are here, my wife, my 6-year-old, stepson, my 5-week-old daughter. And we're like, all right, we're so pumped to watch the match. Debuts at 5. Let's do this. 5:30. Okay. All right. 6, 6:30, 7. I'm just like, boy, oh boy. I was a little frustrated with that, but I was watching it and my son was sitting next to me. And I said, I heard it and I was like, oh my God. And my wife's like, cause I'm holding my daughter and she's like, what happened? And I'm like, I said, I Am Robot. And I know I, Robot. I've seen that movie, not a million times. I've seen it plenty of times, apparently not enough, it was so in the moment. I had to use my JTE on that question. I believe, just because it was on the tip of my tongue and it was something that Paige and I had gone over a couple times during the previous week. And I was sitting there and I was like, oh, I Robot, but in my, I guess as I regurgitated the words, it came out, I Am Robot, because I Am Legend was on my mind as well.
Well, the crossover now between I Am Legend and I Robot.
That would be great, Dean. That would be awesome.
Where the dog lives, though.
I know, right? I was mortified, and it's become like an in-joke in my house where every couple hours my son will be like, you still thinking about that? And I'm like, yeah, I'm still thinking about it.
I feel like that's going to be something fun that's going to follow you around. There's a lot of little random mistakes like that do follow competitors around. I don't think you should put any stock into it. Own it.
I wear it like a scarlet A across my chest, baby. I am not.
Scarlet I. Yeah.
Right. I am not. Shying away from it. I think it's fun. I enjoy it. I am down my buddy Chino in the chat. Oh boy, busting my chops. I was very excited, and people are talking like about this question like it was the end all be all for the match, which. Right. It makes no sense.
No.
I mean, also you're a sports guy. Like in sports, sometimes the officials miss things. It's like when a small 12-year-old piece of shit reaches over the fence and steals a home run away from the outfielder who's about to catch it in the ALCS, and the Orioles would have gone on to win the. Never mind. That's.
I don't know about that.
Very specific. Well, that's a very specific reference there, Billy. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. That's tough. That's tough. I mean, listen, for as it was a rookie mistake on my part, and I own that completely, and if there's something about me is I never make the same mistake twice, and if in the chances, the 1 or 2 times in my life where I make sure that the third time is absolutely, not even a part of the conversation. So the biggest takeaway from this match is if you want to talk about Lomas, if you want to talk about the Finstock exchange, is the fact that for someone who's been around the game as long as Gucci has, and I know he went on his show and tried to throw a blanket over the fire and stuff like that, but for someone that's been because listen, we heard he said he couldn't hear the answer. We heard every other answer perfectly fine, but except for that one. I mean, come on, it was a rookie mistake for a rookie on my end to say that. Absolutely. But for someone that is his age, he's got to be in his 70s or 80s now, right? Not picking up on that and not challenging. I don't even worry. I'm not even putting it on Lomas, because he's in his own. He got the voices in his head telling him a bunch of stuff too. So Gucci
He might not
being
heard over the voice in his head. That could be why he didn't hear it.
Yeah.
The angels didn't tell him, or the devil, or whatever is talking to him.
Listen, I don't think he speaks to angels. If you've read his Twitter,
but you know what?
Yeah.
I always give almost like a pass sometimes to missed challenges because missed challenges happen all the time. Like it's especially with the new system of like you're not allowed to make petty challenges, so it's always in the back of your mind. Like so, whereas before, people like Bateman were looking for a reason to challenge every question, and other people were like that too. You can't be like that anymore. So you're a little more relaxed. And if he didn't, obviously Mark Ellis nor Christian Harloff heard it. So because they have the answer in front of them, literally right in front of them, what the right answer is. So I give Gucci and Lobos a little bit of a pass because they still had the third round where they could have answered any questions right. There we go. That's my boy. The greatest man alive, Brandon Hanna, is correct. Just
always not always challenge. The pettier the better.
That's the thing, though, is every Gucci challenge in the past has been a petty challenge. So now he gets it's got to be different for him.
A little gun shy. That's okay, though. That's okay.
I mean, as we also got to give it. I'm Danie. I'm so sorry. I don't mean to cut you off. But we definitely got to give. Yes, do Christian and Mark have the questions in front of them? Absolutely. But who knows? What their day was like. I know Christian has children. And you got kids running around, and you're sitting in front of a screen for so long, and your brain starts to become a little mush, as I'm sure you guys know. Paul, you probably know a lot more than anybody else how mushy your brain could be.
Absolutely.
So I think it would be I would think it's a bit irresponsible if we're not putting all of the responsibility on the person who really should have challenged that, and that's Gucci. And he could sit there and say he didn't hear it, but it's just, I mean, how many passes are we going to give this guy? He spits the same nonsense clearly that Lomas does, and it did them both in, and he didn't challenge. So why are we going to believe him when he said he didn't hear it? He just messed up and he can't take responsibility.
True.
And to be honest with you, let's put it also point blank. Lomas had 3 questions in round 3.
Oh, and also, you still had to answer your 5-point question after that. So, and a 5-point question, people can argue all they want about the difficulty level of whatever 5-point question they want to. A 5-point question is never easy. I'm a huge Tommy Boy fan, so that was one of the easiest questions in the history of the world. For a massive Tommy Boy fan, which clearly you are because you knew it immediately, that was a 1-point question, but
I will say for that question, I'm so sorry. For that question specifically, all the time in the 90s growing up, I always confused Tommy Boy and Black Sheep for each other. Like those 2 movies came out around the same time. They both have the same leading characters. So just not if I studied, then sure I would have known it. But if I wouldn't have even thought about touching that category at all, I think that's where I would have tripped myself up. But it was the actor's name, the Danie name, that completely gave it away. So
yeah, if the I Am Legend question was the straw that broke the camel's back and what was the deciding factor, I would completely get it. And then people are saying, well, if they challenge that, it changes the momentum and blah, 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 blah. Listen, for people that know me, I can pull out all my Chris Farley, I can pull out my SNL books, all my Chris Farley stuff. I'm not missing that question. It doesn't matter who's in my head. It doesn't matter how rattled I am. I'm not missing that question. And Danielle, you're 100% right. A lot of people trip up Tommy Boy and Black Sheep. It's very, very, it's very easy. I mean, there's 4 or 5 years where Chris Farley was just churning hit after hit after hit. So it's a lot easier to do that. I do have to give a big props to this question though. I can't take all saying that I knew it entirely because of my knowledge. I spent a lot of time in Spencer's Gifts at the mall in Queens when I was growing up. So I had a Callahan Auto Parts t-shirt, that green t-shirt.
I haven't thought of Spencer's Gifts in so long.
Look at that. Proud Johnny from Queen from Fresh Meadows. Oh, yeah. I grew up in Danie. Nice to meet you. I grew up in Astoria. Born and raised.
Danie, he's one of our guys from C2A. He actually has you on his fantasy team, his fantasy Schmoedown team.
Oh, way to go, Danie.
I won't say that last line. I refuse to say it. Danie, I think you can say the last thing that he said there. The rest of us, me nor Paul, will ever speak those words.
Danny Cost like Law says, "Go Yankees!" At the very end of that. That is why.
Danie, I'm disappointed in you.
We're gonna edit that out of the reruns of this.
For the audio listeners.
It is funny. It is funny, though. I gotta say, the subjectivity of questions is such a discussion point all the time, and like I'm a little tired of hearing about it. At some point, like everybody's like, "Oh, that's not a 5 point. It's not. It's a 5 point to somebody." If you haven't watched any of those movies, if you grew up and didn't watch Chris Farley, then that's like the other question. The 80s sequel, known for Diplomatic Immunity. Like I saw so many people in the after shows having like no idea what this is. Like, oh, there's so many action movies named. I have no idea what that's from. Right away, I was like, that was like the most important line.
It's been revoked. Yeah.
Diplomatic immunity, and the guy had. So it's like, to me, that's another easy one. So that's what's going to happen. You're going to have questions that are easy. You're going to have questions that are hard. It just depends on the person and the film.
I always argue you can't determine the difficulty level of a question. So what you have to do is you have to control the amount of information that you give in the question. That's why that diplomatic immunity question that's a 5 point question. Because all you say is it's an 80s movie with the line diplomatic immunity. That's 5 points. You have no other clues. Mm. The Tommy Boy question I felt should have been what movie does Brian Dennehy star with Chris Farley? That's more of a 5 point question to me across the board, because as soon as you say, like Danny said, a lot of people mix up Black Sheep with Tommy Boy. You know, it could be any movie that Chris Farley appeared in. But as soon as you say Callahan Auto Parts, like that's just like he's Tommy Callahan. It's said 40,000 times in the movie. Like everyone calls him Tommy Callahan. So it makes it a little bit easier, but it's still a 5 point question, even with the amount of information given. And you won. You got the victory. You brought the dub. You brought those sweet points to the Usual Suspects. What a start for the Usual Suspects. Let's talk about that for a minute. Holy smoke! The Suspects are on. They may be in second place right now, but they are the most impressive start to the season. Unexpected from most people, not from us. C2A. We interviewed Sam Levine. We knew what was going to happen. We also had Frankie on. We knew what was going to happen. We had Amaru on. We knew what was going to happen. Frankie, how excited are you for your faction?
Oh, I'm really over the moon. I think a lot of people were talking about the rookies coming out of the draft because of how heavy the rookie class was, and
oh boy, wait for us. I'll buy a second.
Who's Frankie?
Start dancing. We'll start dancing.
I'm sorry. All right, I lost you. I guess I lost you for a sec. I'm sorry.
You're back.
I don't know where you lost me, but I'll go through it again. Oh, what a freeze frame face that I made. My God.
It was perfect. That's a shirt.
Oh God.
That's a shirt.
T-shirts.
Yeah, please. With how heavy the draft was with rookies and, any faction starting 3-0, regardless of who was, competing and winning for them is impressive. Yes, it's early in the season, so I'm not going to sit here and say, we're the end all be all now, but the fact that it was 3 rookies that came out and got those first 3 wins, I think is something that speaks volumes to Sam, and the crew that we have working with us. We're a group of people that are, we want to win. We want to do well. We want to win. We want to bring, glory back to the Inglorious One, so to say, because of the season 7 he had. So I'm really, really excited for Amaru. I'm really excited for Marie. I know how hard they're working, and I know how hard the people that have not yet competed are working. So I'm excited to see, what happens moving forward. And I think that, we got some people that are being slept on, man. Really, 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 truly being slept on. I can't say that enough.
Who are you most excited to see from your faction have their debut, their first match in this season?
I mean, I'm a little partial. Most of my studying has been with Amaru and Paige for Betty. So I know, when she gets the call, I have the utmost confidence in Paige. I think that she's really gonna have a great turnout. She really, really knows her stuff. I think that not enough people are talking about her as someone to look out for, as a rookie to look out for this year. But I'm excited for everyone, man. I know the type of the approach that Sam is taking to this year, and with the right people under him, under his tutelage, I really think he's gonna, we're gonna turn some heads, especially like people are sleeping on Stacy. Stacy's one of those competitors from previous seasons that is often written off as either getting lucky or just kind of coasting by, but I think, with Sam, and I know when he was on here, he spoke about it too. He wants to give her the confidence to know that, she knows what she knows. I really think she can have a good year, and, definitely make some noise.
I've always said that Stacey's very underrated. I mean, she has definitely her moments where he's been a little touch and go here and there, but she has those moments that shows you her potential. So given the right faction now, I always feel like the factions are so much stronger together than they were, because if they didn't have factions before, they didn't have the right teams behind them. The right faction can mean a world of difference to somebody like a Stacey Howard. Give her the confidence, give her the knowledge she needs. I'm very excited to see Stacey Howard.
And I think, I think after seeing, what Corruption did last year, and Corruption and Swag, and some of the other factions that were kind of forthcoming with how they went about putting their members together, the game is changing, and it is really truly becoming a game that is producing mental athletes, listen, Corruption, did what they did because they have great players, but they are missing something with, Shannon is a great manager, but she has no experience playing the game. Roxy, I thought did really, really well during season 7, but again, no experience playing the game. You got to think with the approach and the changes that Sam wants to make, based on the facts that he's also a former teams and singles champion. That's dangerous. That's really, really dangerous. And I think in an early season, that's shown to work so far.
Yeah, that's actually a very, very strong point. You just mentioned with your match, it's Makaguchi, who is all theatrics and all character and not much knowledge as far as that goes. Would he have known to challenge you if he did hear it right?
I think that's what it was. I think he didn't know.
It's quite possible. It's quite possible.
Yeah.
But somebody like that, but versus somebody like a Sam who has that knowledge obviously already, and obviously he's engaged with Rachel Cushing, another legend in the game as well. I mean, that's just great resources to have.
Yeah, and I gotta be very, very honest. If I didn't have both of them, I wouldn't have won my match. I mean, I knew what I knew, but their guidance in the pre-match, study stuff that we had done. It's full transparency what won me that match. I'm not even going to try to say that it was all me. A lot of it was them.
All right, good. Now, who's next? Who do you want next?
Who do I want next? I mean, I want some sleep first. That's what I like. No, I'm ready for anyone. I'm not the type of person to cower away from anyone. I know there are some heavy hitters out there, and there are some rookies that still, they have to prove themselves just as I had to prove myself in my one match, and I still have more to prove, So I'm ready for anyone. My approach is going to be the same. I will say though, I knew nothing about Brother Lomas, and I walked away with a dub. I can only imagine if I have game tape on someone, what that's going to do for me and my approach to it. So, I'm ready, willing, and able, baby.
I can't wait for someone from the Stars or Corruption to come after you, because Roxy and Shannon are definitely going to hear about that little speech over there. And I just want to defend it for a quick second, because I do agree that I think that having experience behind the desk or doing matches is definitely going to give you a big leg up on it. But Roxy does have a lot of experience inside of this game, and Shannon does live with someone who plays very, very well in this game.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't want to discredit them at all for that. And Shannon did win Manager of the Year last year But that's nothing against Sam at all, because Sam has so much passion for this game. You can see it in Sam. Anytime you hear Sam talk about this league, you know how passionate he is about the gameplay, the game format, and his players. So I think being on a team with Sam and having Rachel, arguably one of the best Schmoedown players ever to play the game, to have your back gives you such a big leg up on that, and that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. No disrespect to Shannon, to Shannon, Roxy, any of the managers. They've all done well in their own right. And I mean, even people that didn't have a great season last year are proven to come out differently. I mean, look at what Kate and Saul. Saul was very vocal in saying that he wouldn't have won the way he did without Kate too. So, but I think they would probably agree too. There is a part of their approach to it that they just can't get because they weren't a competitor, and on top of that, they weren't a competitor at the level at which Sam was.
Right.
100%. Yeah. I also think one of the things that kind of like differentiates the way people manage is the fact that we're not in the studio versus, because the way you manage in the studio is different than the way you manage online. Clearly Gucci was a better studio manager than he's been an online manager. But I think part of that was when you're in the studio watching tapings, you have your kind of like little cohort of people there to say, hey, that's wrong. You should challenge that. And when you're taping it online, you don't have that. So I think that's what kind of has affected Gucci so far. Speaking of corruption, we have our third match of the week. That is the season debut of the Cobra Ellison for corruption versus another quirky Merc trying to get some points. Since they were into this, they were in the negative. Brendan the Kid Meyer, and this is a free match. And honestly, this should have been like a pay-per-view match. And boy, did this match live up to the hype.
That's kind of what I'm saying from the beginning. I'm like, obviously, we have so many matches this year that we're like, it's going to be amazing. We have 3 pay-per-views a week, or a month, or whatever, rather now. And yet we're still getting this match as a free match. I think we're going to get more and more. There's just so many opportunities to get these people together. I can't believe it was a freebie match. It was definitely at least an undercard somewhere, right?
Well, I mean, listen, I'm a big wrestling fan. I don't know if any of you guys are, but this reminds me of back in the day where Steve Austin took his ball and went home because they were going to have him lose and put over Brock Lesnar on free TV. And the fact that we got, a meeting of these two, titans, in my opinion, of the game, young titans of the game, for free. Boy, oh boy. I mean, who's luckier than us?
Yeah, right? I honestly thought Chance Ellison was going to win this match. I've been a big Chance Ellison fan since last season. I thought last season was going to be Chance Ellison's year, and it kind of half was. I really think this is going to be Chance Ellison's year 100%. He seems like he's wants to like put to rest any doubts whatsoever about how good a player he is. And you know who he kind of reminds me of, especially with his record? He reminds me of Ben Bateman like 2 years ago, before he made his run. Because he's 4-4 now, which seems like a record. But he definitely, I think, has the potential to just run through just about anybody. And he showed it in that match. Man, was it an amazing match.
What I worry about with Chance Ellison, and more specifically, more overall, rather than specifically about this match, is with all the new categories and all the new IG segments, does he burn himself out a little bit if he's trying to do the whole singles, teams, and IG thing still? Because at this point, I feel like it's almost a disservice to be a 3-league player to a degree. Because there's just so much now to study for, so much more you have to concentrate on. Do you miss out on studying some singles thing when you're concentrating on IG? Do you miss out? So I think he almost has to choose what he wants to do. Does he want to go the singles route? Does he want to do the IG route? I think he's doing the singles route myself at this point. It'd be smart for him to concentrate on the singles route myself.
I would like to see him try to make a run for all 3. I think that it would be very interesting to see it. And, we've seen Chance steady. Shannon hypes up Chance a lot. Mike hypes up Chance a lot. And we've seen him do very well. This match was a very good match for Chance. And the kid is no one to sweat against either, man. But I would love to see Chance try to take on all 3 divisions, and that would be very interesting to see. There's a lot of overlap, I think, that could happen. If he's studying for IG, then that's also just going to help get in those little pocket places for singles, which he's already studied for. Now it's just kind of picking up on the newer categories. I think for seasoned players now, that's going to be a lot of focus. Are these newer categories? What are things that they're going to have to deep dive in? And I think it's mostly a round of catch up, just trying to figure out where your weaknesses are on those categories, running drills with your teammates and stuff like that. So I think with the level of dedication that Corruption has to playing this game, Chance is gonna try. I would love to see Chance try, really, truly.
I mean, I would love to see it. Like I said at the end of the year last year, Deep Order brings up it wasn't a problem until Spectacular. That's true, but that's the reason why I think he fell short against Chandru at that point, was because he had the team tournament he was doing for a while. It was only like Chandru could study just IG for like 6 months, whereas Chance had to go do the singles thing. He did the team thing with Mike. He only had a little bit lesser time to really focus all on IG. So and it's a case that happened with Mike Kalinowski as well. I feel like when he went to 3 leagues, he became he went from like an elite player in one league to like good in both. Can he do it?
The thing I will say, I think the Chance is the one person who could do it, because Chance being in the Schmoedown has probably not changed the way he watches movies really more than any, does not change the way he watches movies less than anybody else who joins the Schmoedown, because Chance has always been a movie guy. Him and Paul Oyama are they watched every movie they could possibly watch before the Schmoedown. Now they're in the Schmoedown. It's just they're just going to watch just as many movies as they always did. I honestly think that the expansion of the IG helped Chance in IG, because kind of like Kevin Smith said on his conversation with Ben Bateman, those are movies he likes anyway. So it's not like it's adding something that he has to slug through. He was going to watch those anyway for singles, because those are all movies that are in singles. And I think it kind of puts him on a more even playing field with some of the IG contenders, because those are probably holes for those players. So he can put those things on the wheel to put a chink in the armor of a Chandru or a Robert Parker or a Mike. Well, maybe not Mike Kalinowski, but even maybe Mara. You find those holes and you can attack those weaknesses. And we talk about 3 divisions, but it's not like you're studying for a different division in teams than you are in singles. It's the same thing. It's not a different pool of movies. It's not a different pool of, I don't even think, questions. So you're studying for 2 divisions. I don't think he can win 3 belts. 3 belts is so hard to get, especially because the teams thing is always like a crapshoot. You're too dependent on somebody else. The stars have to align for you to get 3 belts. I think you could get 2, definitely singles and teams. Maybe singles and IG, and you just don't get the team's title. But my boy Chance, I think it's his year.
I agree with that. Now, going into this match specifically, I mean, you said it before, Billy, it was the match we all wanted it to be, really. There was a lot of the haymakers back and forth. Nobody really shit the bed in a given moment. It just was Chance was the final one standing to a degree. The only slip up I saw, really, or I know this is a slip up or a surprise, is that Brendan's usually really good with movie release dates. That. I mean, he's not like Scott Mance or Ben Bateman in it, but he's always been pretty solid in it. And he did, in his round 3, end up slipping up with a little bit in terms of the Rocky movies, as that goes. And he had another question. I can't remember what it was. There was another question about. I think
honestly, for me, the slip up he makes, because it's funny, because the first 2 matches of the week, we had people literally shitting the bed. I hate to say it, John Humphrey shat the bed. Brother Lomas shat the bed in round 3. In this match, it's a trip up. It's one little thing goes wrong. And the thing that he didn't do was he didn't use his JTE rule on the what person has been nominated for the same role twice at the Oscars, because he's an Oscars guy. And he even said in the match, "Oh, you said nominated." And if he had asked for a repeat, he probably gets to Sylvester Stallone Rocky, and he might get that right, and he might win the match.
Yeah, but I don't know if he like that. That's a tough question. That was a really, really tough question, and I think that I would have to go back and listen to it, but I think the wording was also a little tricky. And I don't know if a repeat necessarily would have helped him pull it. But I mean, that's still, I don't think that, that takes away from the difficulty of the question. That was still a really, really tough question,
Yeah. And I'm surprised he didn't go to multiple choice either, though, in a way. He wasn't sure about it.
Was that that was a multiple. Yeah, that was the round 2. Yeah, he did. Yeah. It's funny that it was the 2 Rocky questions that got him because the other one was how many Rocky movies were released in the 80s. And that's a tough question, especially I think that was a 3-point question. That's a tough
3-point question in the 80s. Robert, I gotta say, I went in this on
and Rocky 5 is like 91. So
it's 1990.
Right on the end.
We did this root of the question. We brought this one up specifically on the Ben and Drew's channel. And exactly what you said is that it's considered an 80s franchise almost. In a way. I know Rocky was set in 1976, but the Rocky franchise is considered almost an 80s franchise.
Yeah.
Rocky 4 is a big one, Rocky 3. But because of that, again, you go from 2 to potentially 4. And either one of them, if you're off by a year, you're already at 3. And I think that's what happened to Brendan. So it's a great question. I love the question.
Yeah.
But man, that can trip you up.
He says 3. And then they say you're wrong. Chance, there is no chance for a steal. And I think he thought that he was wrong because he thought it was 4. Like he's like, well, if I get 3, it must be 4. No, it's 2. So there's no way to that answer. The one thing is he didn't realize that it was nominated in the other question. So I think even if he doesn't get there, he gets closer to it. But again, we don't know if he would have gotten there either way. Chance did what he had to do. Chance played great. There was also something in round 1, I think, because Brendan Meyer missed one question.
It was the terminal. What year did the terminal come out?
Right, and that was the release date that kind of got him.
Yeah.
Because then if he goes perfect, maybe he gets a bonus point. Perfect rounds are always super intimidating, especially when somebody gets the bonus point, because then you're playing such catch up. The pressure starts to mount.
Yeah.
So who knows where? I think they're both gonna have great years. We're not like, it's
not like Brendan's definitely coming back. It's not like I like Brendan's done for the year. He's gonna have quite a good year. I still think he's gonna have a good year. He showed it.
It is interesting that his last 2 matches now, we have the one against Adam Collins in the tournament last year, which a lot of people felt he should have won. And then this one, which if things kind of go the other direction, maybe he wins the match and instead he's 0-2 instead of being 2-0. So
isn't that almost every good match though recently? It seems that way. It just 1 or 2 things go a different way, and you're a completely different player, completely different record at that point.
Yeah. And I mean, he's going up. I mean, obviously Adam Collins is where he is because of his knowledge, but Chance is also, in my opinion, with how well he's been able to do in all 3 leagues, an elite player, so, Meyer's been going up. He's been, trained by fire, man. I know he's got a couple matches, a couple singles. I think this is his 9th or 10th singles match. But he's not been thrown, there have really been no layups over the last year and a half, so he's definitely been having to prove himself. And even in his losses, I think he's been, doing exceptional.
Yeah.
100%. He hasn't had a bad loss, that's for sure. So, I mean, it's not like he's going anywhere. I will say it's
the Lady Killers. That's it.
Yeah. I will say it is scary that because last year Corruption got off to a very slow start. And then we're really able to kick it in around like the IG tournament is when they, made their comeback. It's a little scary that, you got Chance dialed in. Mike is always Mike. And then you get a whole season of Adam Collins. There's a lot of points for Corruption to make some noise again this season. But
yeah,
definitely. Well, Frankie, I know you said you gave us an hour, and you gave us an hour. We got through everything. I'm so excited for you, man. Thank you so much for hopping on board. Why don't you tell everybody where they can find you?
Well, thank you guys so much. I really, really appreciate it. Hopefully you guys have me back, soon. Sorry, I need to head out early. It's, I'm quite late on the East Coast. So, F Alvarez 8085 on Twitter and on Twitch, and then the Frank Alvarez on Instagram. And I'm excited to see what happens next, man. I'm excited for the matches coming up this week. We got some great matches coming up. Really excited for them, and you guys just keep killing it.
Sweet, man. Are you gonna watch the FCL when it debuts?
Oh, of course. I'm gonna be right there. Absolutely. I mean, would I be a true fan if I didn't?
Exactly. Good point. Again, thanks so much. We'll definitely have you back on as soon as we can possibly do it. Hopefully, your next match. Good luck at your next match. Let us know as soon as you can about that.
I certainly will.
Thanks to all the backyard crew for hanging out with us. Chino and Crystal and RJ, some of the other people hanging out.
They're friends of mine or friends of yours now. So we got that in common. There we go.
Absolutely. We'll catch up on your show as well then. So,
thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Take care.
Thanks, Mikey. All right, so we're gonna transition here right into the cutscenes this week. Because man, was there a lot going on this week in cutscenes. I know Danielle, you might be a little excited for these moments.
I am very excited for these moments, and we're getting a lot this season. Season 8 has really brought back the storylines, and that's a lot of fun to see. Watching these storylines develop in the way that they have has been a lot of fun. We have about 4 or 5 different branches of storylines going on right now, so those are really interesting. At the moment, I don't have notes in front of me, so I cannot remember exactly which ones. I've been going through these just meeting Paul really quickly, going through these cutscenes, and I can't remember exactly which ones aired which.
Okay, so we'll break them down here one by one. So the first thing we got in the week was for the Saul match versus John Humphrey. We got the repeat from the pay-per-view. So it was the Ben Bateman with Andrew Guy scene and the Grayson Christian with the Skybound guys. So it was a repeat of that, which was, I mean, people were like, "Oh my god, I can't believe we don't get a new cutscene." I'm like, I was happy just rewatching those because those are 2 of the best cutscenes we've had so far.
Yeah, that's totally fine. We have a lot of storylines going on right now, so them repeating those is totally fine. Please don't give anyone hate for those. I am super excited. That first cutscene with Andrew Guy and Ben Bateman. Hello and welcome. If this is your first time watching Call to Action podcast, you should know that we started this podcast because we have a big love for Team Action and Andrew Guy and Ben Bateman. So jumping back into this cutscene was like gold. My heart exploded as soon as I saw the dastardly one, Andrew Guy, walking around Santa Monica, I'm assuming, or somewhere in California, I'm assuming, wherever Ben Bateman is, and trying to find Ben Bateman, screaming for Ben Bateman, and also screaming the question that we love so much: where's the belts?
Yeah.
As soon as I heard Andrew Guy say that, I jumped up out of my chair. It was very unfortunate that I did not get to get it on screen, but jumped up out of my chair. And then one of my favorite little things for that cutscene, Bill, was when they cut to Ben Bateman and Ben's in the closet just looking at the suits.
And the tuxedo suit from against the Shire Wolves at the live event is right in the front. It's so good.
The white one. Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's so
He's
great.
rubbing it against his cheek.
What were your first reactions whenever you saw this cutscene, Bill?
Oh my gosh, it's so good. Again, it's like the first one we got with Andrew Guy and the waking up and everything, and all the little like Easter eggs for the of 2017 and Team Action and everything. When I first watched that one, I didn't catch all those at first. I didn't get them until after. Like I got some of them obviously, but not all of the little nooks and crannies. So this one I was very like every single frame I was like picking out, like, Bateman talking about shaky hands with an allusion to what he said about Riley, and the laugh, which we love the laugh. Ben Bateman, I think that's Paul's ringtone now is Ben Bateman's laugh. Again, the tuxedo.
I confirm that, by the way.
Yeah, 100%. And then Guy, like you said, saying, "Where's the belt?" Yelling for Bateman. Talking about facing Team Trek and his strategy of putting
I know how to beat man.
that bitch on the wheel. And Bateman just being like, what are you talking about? He said we have to go to Collider, and Bateman's like, Collider?
We go to Collider.
Can I tell you that this is, honestly speaking, the best acting that Ben Bateman has done since like Schmoedown began.
100%.
His line reading on "Where's your mask?"
Oh,
Was
so good.
He paused just enough and went, it was so note perfect. I loved it so much.
Yeah,
So-
there's a lot of levels on this cutscene. I think for us three, specifically, personally, how much we love this, because Andrew Guy's response to that, like, why does everyone keep saying that?
Right.
It's so good, and we love these guys, and we know these guys can put their all into it. I love seeing Andrew Guy in this playground. I absolutely love it. So sorry, Bill, keep going.
I also love, like, again, like we've been talking about all the little like allusions to 2017, and my favorite one in this cutscene is when Andrew Guy says, "I carry you in the Schmoedown. I guess I'll carry you in real life too," because at that point, prior to the Team Trek match and that team's tournament, the book was that Andrew Guy was the good trivia player and Ben Bateman was the Link. The Links to the Party called it out in the promo that Andrew Guy was better than Bateman. And like, oh, it's so good.
It's so great. It's really good. Paul, Paul, what were your first initial thoughts watching this, especially as the Team Action fan, and especially as someone who works very closely with these guys? You had to have traveled back into time yourself at some point watching this.
Oh, dude, this is warming my old Action heart. I mean, it's been a long time since we've seen Team Action anyway, and even if we don't get the eventual reunion, I don't know. I'm trying to like keep.
You better knock on wood, sir.
I'm trying to like keep this like under. I try to temper my expectations a little bit. The boss likes to swerve. There's a lot of swerves always go on. You know what I mean? But it just, even the hints of it, it makes me so happy. It just brings me such a joy. I literally just sat there watching it, smiling face to face, like, this is what brought me. Like, I mean, I've been in this Schmoedown before this. I was in this Schmoedown before this, but this is what like hooked me in the Schmoedown with these guys. So it was everything I ever want from the Schmoedown. So it's a good story, good fun, great times. It hits nostalgia just perfectly, but at the same time, it can go somewhere going forward also. So it was beautiful for me. I love the whole thing, and they're getting better at it. The guys are getting better at it, and the scenes look more professional. They're shot better. I know Dennis Zhang's getting involved a little bit more. Back Krishna has mentioned Dennis Zhang getting back. Right. Well, yeah, right. What Ryan just said. I think he's involved in it more, so they have more dedication to it. They have better work with Skybound. They have better cameras and everything else. So everything just looks better. It looks more professional, more sleek. I think this is great to have this the way it's going.
Do you guys have any predictions for what's going to happen next?
I think we get more of the like, kind of like in him interacting with other people, in now time, and him hammering home the fact that he is the 2017 Andrew Guy. I think it's going to be I hope it's going to be a slow play, a long storyline, maybe throughout the whole season. I don't, people are speculating, why don't the dungeon just drop Jericho and pick up Guy? I don't want that right away. I want this to be like a full season. I don't want Andrew Guy to compete this season. I want 2017 Andrew Guy to go the whole year of trying to figure out what the flip is going on and what has happened to his 2 years of his life, or 4 years of his life, I guess you could say.
Yeah, this is the adult section of the podcast. So sorry, y'all. If Team Action is the climax for what we get, then I'm gonna need a lot of foreplay going forward. So spread that out as much as we can, please.
We need this, Will McLean. You are 100% right on this one. For the audio listeners, Will McLean says someone tells Andrew Guy he beat Dan Merle, and Drew has a great reaction. Oh man, we need that.
What do you know? Or would he be like, of course I fucking beat Dan Merle? I'm gonna go something like that.
Paul and I were talking a couple days ago, or a week ago maybe, and one of the things we were hoping to see was a Andrew Guy running into like Brandon Hanna and maybe like Janine the Machine, who were not competitors at the time. They were just fans in 2017.
Right.
and him just thinking that they're his fans and they're actually Schmoedown competitors. How good
I would love to have him call Scott Mantz, like get Scott Mantz on the phone, or somehow get retired competitors to come back and do this.
Or Jason Enden.
Yeah. Oh my no. Oh man, that would be interesting. I hope so. But I think it would also be fun if somehow Rachel Cushing gets involved with this. There was those little rumors back in the day that it was Andrew Guy and Rachel Cushing were supposed to be the team.
Anarchy. They were picked together in Anarchy.
So I think maybe even doing something like that would be a lot of fun. There's so much that you can do with this. Paul, do you have a favorite idea?
What I want to see, honestly, is him and Ruka interact at this point.
Yeah.
After having been like
that whole rivalry, because that rivalry kicked off in that tournament.
Exactly. You knew this was like building up towards that. You got to feel like that was building up at the same time. What does John Roca say now to Andrew Guy after things gone down? And how does Andrew Guy react? I think that could be brilliant. It's done right. There's so many different things they could do, really, to be honest.
I mean, a lot of people don't remember that, like, when Team Action faced Team Trek were the favorites. Because Team Trek had a title shot, and people thought Team Trek was just going to clean the house of Team Action. Team Action sets the points record in that match, and that's when that kicks off the whole rivalry with Roca, where they were going on like Ken Knapsack's old show that he used to have, and him and Bateman and Roca were having sparring matches. Oh, it's so good. Oh man, yeah, that's a big
I agree. I agree in that I don't want to see him in a match. I don't want to see him in a digital match anyway. He's not. He obviously pure life. He's not a digital player. He hates playing digital because part of his thing is this swagger. They're getting in your face, to play into the crowd, to play into the studio crowd. The energy you get going face to face with somebody. If he's gonna play a match, I don't want it to be until it's a live event or until it's at least back in the studio. So at this point, that we can use this slow burn to have him in the scene. We get the best. Oh, maybe that's an interesting idea.
Ryan Kramer, real quick. So I'll just do this real quick, Paul. Ryan Kramer says Roca with his military background will be able to realize that this is a symptom of PTSD. It's a good comment. Go ahead, Paul.
So I said too. I want to throw it here. Fred McDonough. I love Matt Iceman saying, "Oh, he's in his head," and Roca responding, "He's not in my head." The best part about that afterwards is his response saying, "Well, your scoreboard's in your head, I guess." Or something like that. But that's exactly it. I love that kind of thing as well. I want to go back to that Andrew Guy so bad. But yeah, use this. It's a slow burn. Use him. He can be in the Schmoedown without having to compete in a match. I don't care how he did it. It's like, get him in these cutscenes, get him involved, maybe as an interviewer or something like that, potentially. Like, they kind of even have him crash interviews, trying to like start matches with somebody who's not even like, you're not even on a faction. You can't play a game. You're like, what the fuck's a faction?
Yeah.
We don't care about this stuff.
2017 Drew Guy doesn't know what Zoom is, doesn't know what OBS is, doesn't know what StreamYards are, doesn't know what any of these things are. So
does he even know what the Action Army is really overall? I mean, the Action Army is a lot different now than it was then.
It's very
true.
Now.
Yeah,
I'm trying to. I'm going to do that for some homework. I'm going to figure out for sure when the matches started to change and the Action Army, because y'all remember when they were doing Billy. Do y'all remember when they were coming out as the introductions representing Popcorn Talk Network, and then there was the next match, whatever match that they had. There was one where the first match where they came out representing the Action Army. That's the match.
So it's the last time I think they were Popcorn Talk was the Late to the Party match, and that's when in one of the promos, either before the match or after the match, is when they start thanking the Action Army and talking about the Action Army, and that leads into the tournament where they play Trek and top 10 and above the line. So,
but, I gotta point this out also. Fair Schmoedown in the chat. I think 2021 guy doesn't know Zoom or StreamYard either.
I would reject that. That guy does. 2021 Bateman has no idea.
Bateman has no idea. Guy streams on Twitch and on and stuff like that. It has to do it on like Clash Royale. So 2021 guy, yes. 2021 Bateman, not so much. So that was our first cutscene of the week. The second cutscene of the week was there was only one during the Brother Lomas match. It's the pre-match cutscene with Gucci and Brother Lomas, in which Brother Lomas basically shit talks half the league because Gucci, he's like Gucci's confessing his sins about things he said to Bateman, and he's talking about how Bateman is, egotistical and all this stuff, and that he deserves what he gets. And she talks about how Shannon only cares about her appearance, and talks about how I think who else did he call out? Was it Roxy maybe? I don't know. He calls out half the freaking league, it felt like.
Yeah.
And this is one of those things like you can't call out half the league and then shit the bed in round 3, okay? You go from the Undertaker to the Shockmaster. That's for all the wrestling fans out there. Real quick, brother. Okay?
I think it might be a little much. Not quite the Shockmaster. I don't think we go that far down the line yet. but
I gave you Shockmaster over Gobbledygooker, all right? So
that is a good point as well.
Wrestling names?
These are actual wrestling names, Danielle. The early 90s in wrestling was a weird time, okay?
A weird time. We don't talk about it very often anymore. We're a little scared of it, but it did happen. Real quick, to start off there, Ben Rayner in there says, predicting this is the way to keep him in the league until they have studio again, and he'll be one of the first people to compete in studio. Thanks, Ben. Not talking about Guy, obviously, at this point. That's a good point. I don't want to bring that up right early before we went too far into the Brother Loma stuff.
Actually, before we get into the Brother Loma stuff real quick, the last thing about Andrew Guy, how amazing is what we've gotten to start this season from where we left last season with him getting kidnapped in the van and we had no idea. And I don't care who anybody is. Nobody saw this coming. Nobody saw this fantastic tapestry that Christian is weaving.
Right.
It's so good. It's delicious. We just eat
it. It is delicious.
But back to Brother Lomas, Paul.
Back to Brother Lomas. Okay. Now, I agree. I don't. I'm trying to think. I don't disagree with you, but I don't necessarily fully agree with you either. I think he had a rough third round. I think he does have knowledge enough to play the game, and with this character work, he's going to the kind of character work he's going to give. He's going to get a lot more opportunities to play, even if he doesn't win right away. Because that's what happens if you have enough player, you're enough talent, you get to play again, whether you're good or not. So I think we'll have to see what I'm just going to put an asterisk on this match. Let's see how the next match is, because he had a big like a build up to him in a way, his character work, and he's still a rookie playing his first match. So I mean, like, let's see how now he's gotten that under his belt out of his way. Let's see what the next match is before we completely dismiss him, because his character work, I think, is great, and he has a lot of potential to build on that. I kind of said, I'm going to say this is kind of a little chorus, so cover your ears. But I said this on the Gucci verse at one point. It almost felt like we said I was Dusty Rhodes had fucked Paul Bearer and had offspring. That's Brother Love. That's Brother Love. Maybe you grew up with Brother Love.
I know who Dusty Rhodes is.
Paul Bearer's the guy who's a manager of The Undertaker.
I knew it. I did know it. I didn't want to embarrass myself, but I did know it.
And he grew up with Brother Love, and Brother Love is like there. That's where you get Brother Love. It's entertaining enough to get by, as long as it. But could it get stale? Absolutely. There's a lot of potential in there, so we're gonna have to see where it goes from there.
Yeah, I think it's easy to separate his gameplay from his character work when it comes to cutscenes. If he would have started that, I know the cutscene was technically before the match, but if he would have been inside of the match, still kind of talking that shit the whole way through, then I can totally get on that side of it. But I think this is a very fun angle for the Finstock Exchange to use. And again, I would not want to see it drawn out, and every single Finstock Exchange match, Brother Lomas comes on and gives a confession with whoever is competing. I think that's a fun idea. I would love to see him do that with a few of the players on there, especially the bigger players, because I loved the way that they went back and forth with each other. The way that John Roca. That's because I want to see John Roca and Brother Loomis do the same thing that Gucci and Brother Loomis did with each other. Like, they played off of each other so well. Before this match, I had no idea how this character, how Brother Lomas, I don't want to call him a character, I'm sorry, how Brother Lomas was going to fit into the Finstock Exchange. How was this this preacher gonna come in and hang out with Bobby Gucci? What's gonna happen there? What kind of chemistry are they gonna have? And then you see this cutscene, and they're perfect for each other. They're perfect for each other, and I absolutely loved it. I thought that was a lot of fun. I thought that was great, and I would love to see more of it.
Yeah, I love Gucci and Loomis together. I will say that. I do think that they work weirdly well together.
Yeah, they really did. I mean, it's someone who's like telling Bobby Gucci that he's not doing anything wrong, so that works perfectly. We did get a stream. What is this thing called?
Super chat
from JJ Monahan. The promo for the Brother Loomis versus Frankie match is in the conversation for top 10 best promos in the Schmoedown. Shamey then proceeded to lose the match spectacularly in the third round, and that's exactly what we were talking about. Like, you can't cut that promo and then crap the bed. Speaking of somebody who knows a thing or two about cutting a promo, we're now.
I thought you were about to say crap in the bed.
Yeah, crap in the bed.
You know what?
Only when he picks Jesse Swift to get KO'd in his first match. That's the only time he's ever crap the bed. My brother, my favorite, the man, the myth, the legend, the straw that stirs the drink over at Let's Get Ready, Mr. Ferris Muthana. Yes, there he is. What is up, my brother?
How's everybody doing? Hey man, y'all were making these like 80s, like 90s references for like wrestling, and I was like, I gotta get in on this, man. I gotta get in this, man. You know?
Give the link.
Yeah, give him a link. Brooklyn Brawler, the Flyer. You know, Minotaur, man. Half man, half beast.
Well,
yeah.
It's funny because I actually told Paul this like maybe a couple days ago because D Morgan in the chat says he's more Bray Wyatt to me than Paul Bearer. The person he is the person that Bray Wyatt was based off of. It's a man by the name of Waylon, played by Dan Spivey. Like that's who he is. He's obviously a preacher, but that's the character he's playing. And the difference between the Schmoedown and wrestling. So wrestling, you can have a terrible gimmick that can get over because you win. And you're guaranteed to win. The Undertaker is one of the dumbest gimmicks in the history of wrestling. It never should have worked. It's a stupid gimmick. But
not only should it not work, but it worked for 20, 30, 40 years pretty much. It's been working. Like, how does it not?
I don't know much about wrestling at all. Honestly, I love The Undertaker. I always have.
Yeah. Well, you got
The Undertaker
charisma than anybody else maybe in the history of wrestling, and he won all the time. In the Schmoedown, you can't win all the time.
Yeah, man. The Undertaker is the reason I always made fun of zombie films, because I was like, that's not a zombie. Zombies don't run that slow. They know how to wrestle. Have y'all ever seen The Undertaker? These movies ain't real. That's not how this works. Zombies can power slam people. What is this? What is this nonsense? Evil with the Dead. Like this nonsense, man.
I'm waiting for a zombie movie where one of the zombies tombstones somebody.
Exactly, man. Zombies bury alive people and set people on fire. That's what zombies do. Yeah.
This is the perfect example. So when the Undertaker comes in 1990, as William Harold says in the chat, it's been working since 1990. That was the height of everybody has a job in WWE.
Yeah, there's the plumber,
there's the cowboy, there's the trash guy, there's
the repo man.
There's another job.
Yeah, repo man. Yeah.
Scrap Iron Adam Pearce, the repo man. Or no, not Scrap Iron Adam Pearce. Oh man, who was the repo man? Never mind. The one job that sticks throughout through the generations is the Undertaker.
Undertaker, yeah, a dead Undertaker. Don't forget, he's dead. He's not even a live Undertaker. He's a dead one too, which is hilarious. Did you know he was actually supposed to at that Survivor Series? He was actually supposed to come out of the egg. He was supposed to come out of the egg. Yeah, but they're like, how about let's not do that? That sounds stupid.
Well, how's Gallagher
brother?
Yeah,
was the guy.
Hector Guerrero was the guy.
Danie,
we've lost.
Are we talking Schmoedown? Are we talking Schmoedown? I'm confused.
I just binged like 5-6 seasons worth of past Bachelor Bachelorette seasons.
You're on the wrong show,
I'm pretty sure I can find recaps for wrestling, WWE, WWF, and all of that stuff. And
Hey, they're hard.
around me all the time. So if I got questions,
There is dedicated pro wrestling channels on YouTube. So
I'm gonna
find
find
one.
it. Send me those links.
Yeah.
Y'all get me into the lore because I have really bad FOMO right now. I'm very upset.
Honestly, if
Bring it
you're
back. Christian Harloff used to work for WWE.
Yeah. If you're a Schmoedown fan, watch old 80s like promos because that's Schmoedown promos. That's Christian Harloff loves all those 80s, early 90s promos. Like that, and that's where
watch every single Ultimate Warrior promo. It's like his body to be released out of his soul. Like the way he like yells, he's like, "I'm ready to kill every last one of you motherfuckers!" Like, dude, relax.
Speaking of Christian Harloff, speaking of Christian Harloff, we saw that Christian Harloff now has a new boss.
Nice segue, Danie. I love that you did there. I like what you did there.
Well done. Way to bring it back.
Yeah. So Christian Harloff does have a new boss right now. That was also a big fun surprise for me. I didn't think Grace was going to come back to the Schmoedown. Ken was basically retiring last year. So it kind of factored in. Maybe Grace isn't going to come back either. Kate dropped her like a hot potato. That was kind of sad for me to see. But then all of a sudden, here we go. Christian Harloff on a phone call, very worried about what's going to happen. Who is this person coming in as a it sounds like I'm getting a boss. and then it's Grace Hancock coming in with that big beautiful smile and just charming the pants off of those dudes, and then they get off the call and it's just Christian and Grace, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen with Grace coming back. How are y'all feeling about Grace coming back?
Well, first I'll say that I love the idea they got Robert Kirkman in there as well, like a nice little dropping over there, the Skybound people. That was a nice little touch. It's always good to see that kind of people involved with the Schmoedown. But bring Grace back in. Grace is great at what she does. And what she does is be a badass bitch, basically. And so I love seeing her on screen, and I can't wait to see her being in charge of things, how it's going to shake things up. I mean, we've done a little bit of the boss storyline before. We had the dad was in charge a little bit, and then Christian came back, and it was really Christian all along, that kind of thing. But this seems a little different. I'm interested to see how this is going to differentiate from previous boss warfares. I do like Grace as a personality, so I'm happy to get her back in the league any way, shape, or form. So I'm definitely intrigued to see what's going on with that. How about you guys?
Go ahead, Ferris.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you. Yeah, man. I've never seen someone's soul leave their body so quick when Grace hopped on screen. Like his happiness, like I've never seen a man lose every single piece of happiness in his life. Because in storyline wise, like Grace scares the man shitless, and I love Grace. Even though she doesn't know who the hell I am, I think her and Ken are wonderful. So just seeing her, just like Karloff has said, I would love to have Grace more involved, but the issue was she kept getting acting jobs.
Right.
Yeah.
So now, unfortunately, due to COVID, so acting jobs are sometimes far. Like that's the downsides. The bright side, we can have her more involved. The downside is the stuff she does to make a living kind of is shriveling up, which is sad to me. But she is a badass woman. I would like to say that. More badass women, dope, whatever, man. More women, the merrier. More badass women, the merrier. Strong women, who cares, man? Whatever, just at it. I don't really care, I'm cool.
She's a bad bitch. Yeah, that's the character she's playing in this.
Exactly.
My favorite line from her thing was she comes on screen and she goes, "Christian, is it?" And I was like, "Oh my god, yes, that's Grace just cutting somebody to the bone immediately." Christian had the correct reaction to Grace coming back, throwing his headphones. Shannon, as we transition into the next cutscene, definitely had the best reaction to Grace coming back in.
That scene was.
Can we get the Kalinowski Shannon sitcom?
Yeah.
Anytime soon. That's because that's what I want.
Shankeo Vision.
Yeah. Exactly. The bad word. Somebody that.
Calabarni? No.
Yeah.
Bernowski?
Mike was gold in that scene. Shannon was gold in that scene. I could watch those two doing that kind of stuff all year long. I just it gave me more and more of that.
that scene was so much fun, but everything throughout that scene, we'll break it down a little bit more, but there's one specific part in that scene when Mike is realizing, like after Shannon tells him, what would I do in that position? And then Mike is slowly realizing that Grace is back. Honestly, I'm going to need someone to really answer this question for me. If this happened either in post or if this is just a special power that Mike Kalinowski has, did you see how red his face actually got? His face was so red towards the end of it. Like once you start pay attention to Mike, watch that scene again. They have all of the cutscenes on a playlist on the SEN Clips channel, I believe is where it is. Big shout out to Frank Jonish. I'm pretty sure he's the one that put that together. Yep. But go back and watch that cutscene and watch Mike's face at the end. It gets so red, and I noticed it the first time I saw it, and I thought that was hilarious.
Oh, so good.
I like
I laugh when Jen called her Grace Harloff in the post Chance Brand interview. I love that too, by the way. I love me a Jen Sturger. So
I love the Brian Ward edits. You know, it was Grace Grace all along.
That was fun.
Yeah, those are phenomenal. Brian Ward, man, that guy's talented. That Brian Ward fella. You know, I loved that dude.
Absolutely.
Has anybody owned Deep Throating a Lollipop more than Mike Kalinowski has? Because now every time we see him, he's got that lollipop.
Hey, yo, Billy, man. Hey, it went deep. It went deep. You know,
like his throat for sure.
Like half of the stick disappeared. Like the stick that was holding the lollipop. Sorry, my bad. This is the Schmoedown. Sorry.
Okay, really quickly.
Paul, I forgot what chat I was in, Paul. My bad. I forgot what chat I was in.
It's not on Twitch. Coming back to that scene really quickly, it's very interesting to see Shannon Barney and Mike Kalinowski get nervous because they have ran this league last season, being the big bads of the season, and then you get Grace Hancock coming back in and making them shake in their boots, and that's pretty interesting. So my question is, where and what do you think Grace is going to come into play? I think Grace is definitely going to try to make sure that she does everything she can to make sure that Laura Kelly does not go back to corruption. I think that's going to be one of the things that she does with Shannon. And I think it would be interesting if we start seeing Grace do anything with Andrew Guy. Like if she starts to manipulate Andrew Guy, who's in a very vulnerable state right now. But I'm just going to try to find a way to bring it back to team action any way I can. What do you guys think Grace is going to come up to or get up to this season?
Well, what you just said, what Ben says, what if the Guy and Grace coming back are connected somehow? That could very well be. How do we know that Grace is the one who brainwashed him or reset him or whatever happened with that? Maybe drugged him or something, or replaced him or cloned him. We still have no idea what's going on there. So we can't, there's so many different ways you can go. What if Grace is involved in that? Maybe Drew is an agent of the Lioness to a degree, a sleeper agent, maybe.
Andrew Guy is the Quicksilver in this situation.
the fake guy.
Pietro.
I think more likely to be like a Winter Soldier.
I think for Grace, I think more than likely, or what's more likely maybe to happen is what we saw with the later cutscene with Chandru, where he's trying to recruit his little to get rid of Winston. Maybe he now goes to talk to Grace to get rid of Winston. That's a definite possibility. I do like Ben's thoughts on that. But Danie, what was that reaction for?
I don't want this is if we're gonna sneak into that Chandru Andres cutscene, my heart sank as soon as I saw Ace come up on that screen and Chandru was telling him all that he was telling him. Again, big shout out to the crew because the way that the music plays in the background, they got a fucking score to this scene and it's beautiful because you hear it and Andres is listening and being very patient with Chandru and then flips the fucking switch on him and says, nope, drip, drip, baby, disrespectful. Get out of here. And I absolutely loved it. So you saying that Chandru can go to Grace and try to get Grace to do something, please don't do that to my heart. Billy, I need swag to continue.
Not only that, that'll be a knock on Andres as well, because Andres is obviously siding with Winston. So Danie, can you just say his name for me again?
Andres.
I love it.
No, the full name. We need the whole name. What's the whole name?
Andres Cabrera.
Yes. That's my boy.
No, and I did love that scene too. I thought it was a great swerve. You kind of You knew that Chandra was going there. He was the obvious choice as far as the whole disrespect angle, because that was one of Chandra's main thing that Laura Kelly's put before him, and then so that was a disrespect thing. And you almost expect that Ace would almost join up and be like, okay, because that makes sense that he would feel disrespected to a degree. But then to have him say, nay, I'm so sad with my boy. It's great because it keeps things a little unexpected. You like to have unexpected happens. You don't want things to get too predictable. So now we don't know exactly what's going on with that situation. We have Chandru, we have Laura Kelly on one side. We have Winston and Andres on the other side. What else can happen? We don't know yet.
My biggest takeaway, honestly, from that cutscene with Andres. We talked about Mike's acting and Shannon's acting, and obviously Andrew Guy's acting has been great. Ben Bateman did a great job. Andres Cabrera sold the shit out of that, because I legitimately thought he was siding with Chandra, and my first thought was, Danny's gonna hate this.
I'm very upset that I did not get to record a reaction to it too, because it always happens as soon as someone says it. It's the time that I'm not available for it. But I legit had a small panic attack. Faris, how did you feel about this Chandru and Andres cutscene?
Well, I quite enjoyed it. Just seeing Ace basically say, "Yeah, nah, motherfucker, we out." Because you know what I mean. Because let's be here, like Ace is very real, and he can smell the bullshit. He smelled this bullshit. Like, why would you trust a villain to overthrow a nice human being? You know what I mean? Even though the nice human being probably semi disrespected you in the draft. But if you're an adult, you'd be like, business is business. I already had my title shot, so I'm probably not gonna get another Star Wars match until like deeper in the year. That's like people forget. People say, "Oh, Winston let Ace fall." There's a bunch of managers who could have picked Ace up, but no one did because everyone knew what Winston knew. You know what I mean? Ace is not gonna get a match right away, so they let him wait. So Ace realizing that. I got knocked out last year in an IG match. I resurrected my image with Winston in the Star Wars match. How about I not disrespect the man who helped me resurrect my image?
And that's exactly what he told Chandra also, that Winston was there with them working. Winston's the one that
he got you a title too. Exactly. He got you a title. Like, he may not have given me a title. Like, he didn't even give me a title. And I have Ace actually has some gripes with Winston. You let me fall. You really didn't give me a belt, but you actually got a belt, and you were actually protected.
What's
so
interesting?
You got Stockholm syndrome. You crazy right now. That's what I'm saying.
And this could actually be a different thing as well. Is that maybe not only is Andres being loyal to Winston, this is like the end of that that cutscene was him saying he'll introduce Chandra to Upset City and everything else. There's a chance that this is Andres' ticket back in to want to be the #1 IG player in Swag. Is he going to be re-entering the IG level? I mean, he obviously did not do well last year in the IG, but is he going to commit himself to going full on and going all in? Because we don't know when he's going to see in Star Wars contention again. Maybe he's going to go for the IG. That's the way to do it.
Maybe, yeah. It's funny that it's interesting that both Danielle and Ferris kind of talked about Danielle talking about the music and Ferris talking about how Chandra was coming with that bullshit. You could tell Chandra was coming with the bullshit because before he gets on the phone, he's doing a little dance and it's like clearly he's about to spin some bullshit. They use that music again to kind of like portray that, and then also he has like the worst argument for Ace to join them. He's like, "Oh, you got skipped over for Laura Kelly. Why don't you come join Laura Kelly?" What? That doesn't make no sense. Exactly.
And the Laura Kelly thing is that she was okay, she wasn't guaranteed a title shot. She had the opportunity for a title shot. She had to beat Molly Damon. Ace never Ace has to go through a tournament or has to beat a couple more Star Wars players because you just got your title shot. So now you got to go back to the line. You know what I mean? So Winston actually Winston actually played it smart in the draft. Like me, people were like, yo, Winston disrespected Ace. Nah, Winston was about business. Winston was about the swag team. Business, homie. And if you don't understand that, then I guess you can get the stepping. But Ace isn't getting the stepping because Ace finally understands it. He's like, I get you. Like, I get you. Like, I know where you're coming from. So, yeah.
Well, the other thing is, like,
Trip trip, baby.
so you have Chandru's coming for these people, and he comes for Laura because Laura doesn't want to be on swag immediately. So it makes sense to go to Laura. And then also, Chandru can use the angle of, if we get rid of Winston, I'll send you back to corruption, or I'll have you go back to corruption where you want to be. So he has something to offer Laura, so it makes sense for Laura to go with him.
Well, I think Chandru's also on shaky ground on that aspect also, because if you remember the cutscene with Chandru and Laura from last week, Laura was kind of upset that Chandru's the reason why she's on swag, because Chandru tried to take credit for Winston's work and tried to say that he's the one who suggested to bring on Laura Kelly. So really, who should Andres be mad at this? If Chandru was the reason why Laura Kelly was taken first in swag, then there's also that. And then Laura Kelly has that little nugget in the back of her head, knowing that the reason why she's on swag is because of Chandru. What if this doesn't work out for him? What if he doesn't find the only other person on that faction that I can think of that would work with this and would absolutely or could possibly be swayed by Chandru is Eric Zipper. But that's just a matter of Eric Zipper doesn't want to, really get back at Winston or anything. But Eric Zipper has always been vocal about loving the dungeon and missing the dungeon. And could this be something that Eric Zipper falls prey to?
I think what they should do is let results dictate the storyline. Sometimes you have a storyline, doesn't matter what the results are. In this case, let results dictate storylines. If people win, maybe they stay with Winston. If people lose, then maybe Chandru can use that to his advantage to be like, hey, Winston didn't support you, Winston didn't help you out. So maybe if Zipper beats Hannah, maybe he stays with his boy Winston. If Zipper loses to Hannah, then it's a wedge that Chandru can drive. Also, obviously, Zipper and Winston in storyline there's all sorts of cracks in that relationship that you can drive a wedge through. So, yeah.
Well, they got the relationship. They can go either way with the Winston Zipper thing. If it works out, you can always go back to they are best friends again. They rediscovered their friendship, that kind of thing. Kindness again. But if you don't want to go that way, you can absolutely go the same way. Say, we broke up for a reason. You pissed me off for a reason. That's why I don't want to be back with you. Why would you pick me? You're an asshole. So it's either way. It depends. I agree with you to a point, Bill. You can use those results as the dictation of storyline. I mean, Christian knows now. We obviously know Christian knows well enough that he's got to have everything planned out anyway. You might as well, instead of just being writing two things in preparation, maybe actually use that to write your storyline in a way. It's a good way to go because you have a lot of different ways you can make this go at this point.
That's what's so great about this season and these storylines this year, man. We're getting a lot of these, all of the cutscenes that we've talked about so far can go in any angle, and we can have so much fun with this. And I'm super, super pumped for that. This is so good.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, the storylines, again, it's we don't know where any of it's going to go, and we're very excited. It's the kind of thing, it's not only is it good storylines of wow, that's a really good storyline, it causes so much speculation in the community on all the after shows. Everybody's talking about what could be happening next. I mean, we're doing it. Who's the next that's going to show up here or there or wherever? We're looking forward to all these different interactions. Does Chandru try to branch out from swag and try to drive cracks other places?
Like Jay Washington.
Hey man, this is like an episode of The Bold and the Beautiful. You know what I mean?
As the wheel turns.
All we really need is someone to fake their death, come back as somebody else, and then reveal that it was them all along.
That's what we want.
And then out their ex-lover with sleeping with their brother. Boom.
That's it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
That's the good part about all these different storylines is that we get the soap opera, we get the sitcom, we get like this like weird sci-fi X-Files, what the hell's happened with Andrew Guy thing. We get this creepy Brother Lomas phone call type stuff. We're all over the place, and I'm excited for all of it. I love it.
Well, the interesting thing about that is there has been, again, speculating responsibly, as Gene Morgan says. I don't know this now, but there's been speculations that like perhaps Winston got a new job and he had to step down. This is where this is all going towards, where they're going to storyline write him out of being a faction leader. I don't know if that's true or not, but maybe that's the way it is. And if so, who would Chandra get to replace? It? Would it be a Jay Washington? Would it be combine like all of these cutscenes into one? Does Chandra go to Grace to get somebody to replace Winston, and that replacement is Andrew Guy?
I mean, that would be
see, that's the faking of the death in the soap opera and coming back as somebody different.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, that is the thing, that the missing link of this whole story with Chandru is that Chandru can't be the manager. He can't be the head of the faction. Players cannot manage. So he has to have somebody else. Like he has to bring somebody in to replace Winston. So that is the interesting thing.
I also want to make a note for anyone that starts talking about cutscenes and these storylines and stuff like that. I know a lot of people are trying to bring like real world logic into this, but there's a thing in soap operas. It's called rapid child aging syndrome or something like that. It's where in one season of a show, a baby is born, and then in the next season of the show, they're 15 years old, and you just got to go with it. Right. And that's what you have. That's what we all have to do with these cutscenes right now. It's just, in the words of Christian Harloff, you watch the show, enjoy the show. Don't put too much real world logic into it. Speculate responsibly. Yeah, maybe but allow yourself to come out of it. Also, enjoy the show, have fun with the show, and try not to get too logical with it. Let's just enjoy it. Let fuck it, time travel. It's literally Andrew Guy from 2017 right here. He got into a time travel. Grace somehow casted a spell. She's an actual witch in this. Let's just run with all of these crazy storylines. Just take everything.
Also, respect the soap opera actors, man. They do great work. By the way, Supergirl is from a soap opera. So, boom. That's true. Everybody was so happy about Supergirl. She's from The Young and the Restless. Boom. Don't tell me how I know that.
Hey, no shame.
Soap operas. Bold and the Beautiful, Young and the Restless.
General Hospital. Shout out to General Hospital.
I love General Hospital. I grew up watching Days of Our Lives. That's why I'm the one doing the soap opera show on the channel, which will premiere next Sunday at 10.
As the wheels turn.
Only our boy Ferris with Anna can have a conversation about 90s wrestling and then transition into a conversation about soap operas. That's why he is the man. That's why he's the drink.
Growing up, I did try to watch a lot of Telemundo, and they would have novellas, which are soap operas. But but I wouldn't understand them, and all I understand is like the names would be like, Rodrigo, you are back. Since when? Like you're like, whoa, I thought he was dead. But Rodrigo never died.
You know what? I want them to follow more telenovelas instead of soap operas, because telenovelas are way more dramatic. I'm gonna need to see fake falling downstairs, like completely over dramatic falling downstairs. I'm gonna need those crying in Spanish memes, all of that stuff.
You need the dun 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 and the zoom in on the face of the guy as he.
I'm gonna need to see another slap. We're gonna need to see another big slap happen. Oh my gosh!
Oh yeah.
Well, that's gonna be live events.
I am so excited about these storylines. We have seen them come a very, very long way, and it's very exciting. There really are quite a few strings out there right now, and we'll see how they all tie together.
Well, speaking of strings and tying together, Danie, what do you got for us in Danie's conspiracy corner this week? What are we thinking? Where's the conspiracy at this week?
Okay, So I was kind of doing all of those little puzzle pieces while we were talking about him. But this is definitely what I'm speculating on the conspiracy corner here on Call Live. So I think that Andrew Guy is definitely from another dimension. He's gotta be like, there has to be some sort of mirror inside. Like, there's too many mirrors. Andrew Guy's looking at himself in a mirror. Ben Bateman's looking at himself in a mirror. There are too many mirrors in these cutscenes for us to not. There has to be some sort of secret portal that the action guys have together to get through there. How did Andrew Guy come back? Where did he come from? How did he wake up in his bed out of nowhere? A secret portal. That's Danny's conspiracy corner.
Or the mirror dimension from Doctor Strange.
The mirror dimension. Thank you so much.
Excellent, an excellent Danny's conspiracy corner.
If I see another mirror in a cutscene, then confirmed.
Confirmed.
Yes.
Mephisto can be a mirror scene.
It's Mephisto. It's Mephisto.
Mephisto confirmed.
Only in Call to Action Live you get
yo.
wrestling references, telenovelas, and Mephisto all in one show. Oh man,
You're on a great show, Billy. You're on a great show.
So we're
So I didn't know Mephisto even existed until like last month.
He had the WandaVision writer.
So we got a new segment this week on Call to Action Live. It's Belford's burning questions. I got some questions for you guys. Answer them to the best of your abilities. Just give me what like the kind of like a short answer as possible, but you can kind of expound on it. The first one is, who does Chandru go to next? Who's the next person Chandru talks to? We're gonna start with Ferris. What do you got?
He might be muted, or we might be muted.
Are we muted?
What?
All right.
I think he's involved in something right now. He's got a short deal going on right now.
Okay.
All right.
What do you got? Who does Chandru go to next?
I'm going to say he's going to go to Zipper next. He's the next match. Got a match tomorrow on Patreon. Brandon Hanna versus Eric Zipper. It's a perfect way to have the next cutscene.
I also agree. I think it's. I'm sorry, Bill. I think it's going to be Eric Zipper also. I think it's going to be Zipper. I think that makes the most logical sense right now. Vinny, after Vinny's match, he sounded like he was still going to ride for Winston. So I think that's going to be a tough one to recruit, even though it was on a loss. I think Zipper is the most logical because of the history behind Winston and Eric.
Cool. And Ferris, who do you think? Where does Chandru
Lon
go to
Harris. Lon Harris, because let me tell you like this. All of last season, Lon was running away from Winston. He never told Winston where he was. He never, like, literally, he's like during Lon's promos, he was like, "Yo, man, Winston's trying to find me. Don't tell him where I'm at. Even though I'm like in a garage, like a garbage can. Don't tell him." You know what I mean? So he's trying to stay away from Winston. What if Lon's kind of vulnerable right now? He a bum. He ain't got no home. He going from house to house, garbage can to garbage can. So what if someone starts whispering sweet nothings in his ear, talking about, "Hey man, you want a cheeseburger? I got some fries. You want a cot?" Who wouldn't say no to that?
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, Lon doesn't know what he's doing half the time. So, like, I think at this point, I think if somebody comes up to him and goes, "Yeah, come on with me," he'll be like, "All right, sure, whatever you want to do." So it's an easy get for Chandru after losing out on Ace.
I think you're half right. I think it's Jonathan Harris. He says, "I'll get you your brother back if you join with me." All right.
All right.
Our next question is who is going to appear next on Shankeo Vision, or whatever that sitcom is called between Shannon and Mike? Who you got? We'll start with Ferris this time.
What's next? I think it's gonna be Shannon. Shannon's plotting. She's gonna create like a master plan. She's gonna have like a revenge board with like Tic Tacs on people's foreheads. It's gonna be like Kirkman and the other dude, and then Harloff, and then Grace, and then Roxy is gonna be somewhere on this board. They're all being connected by like ribbons, and it's gonna be like like Deadpool, XXX until like she gets to Ajax, which is Grace.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I think is gonna happen. And then Mike's gonna be eating like a drumstick holding Indiana Jones, saying, "What are you doing?" She's like, "None of your business. Get out." He's like, "All right, cool."
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Go watch the Snyder cut. Leave me alone.
Right.
Yeah. That's what's
Paul,
gonna happen.
what do you think?
Oh God, I think we're gonna go. I think Shannon's gonna seek help outside of the corruption world in a way because she knows that this is gonna completely destroy everything. She's either gonna go to Christian, or maybe she actually makes a factional alliance to a degree with someone like a Kate. Let's get intel on the new boss. We have a common enemy now. What can we do to, undermine this new boss that's in charge? We're the bad bitches in town, not her, kind of thing.
Oh, like a Big Brother alliance.
Could be, maybe something like that. Enemy of my enemy.
Exactly.
There you go.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Big Brother without the racism. Cool. I like it. Like it.
Anything without racism. That's good.
Exactly. Yeah.
Danie,
I
what
would
do
like
you
to
think
see.
next?
I would like to see a big Zoom call between all of the corruption members and see what, so Shannon can kind of get a feeler of where everyone's at, dropping the news to corruption that Grace is back, and maybe not the whole faction, maybe just dropping that news to some of our bigger players like Chance and Marisol and Adam Collins and stuff like that. But I would like to see Shannon dropping the news that Grace is back and that she's got a plan. Hopefully she has a plan. I hope she has a plan.
Can I?
I like that.
Can I?
For a minute, I was like, "Who the hell is Danie talking about?" When she said Marisol, then I realized it's Marisol, you dummy. She just said it in the correct. She just said it in the correct manner.
Just
Yeah. Like
what if? Here's an interesting thing we haven't thought about yet. This just came to mind because Danie sets a Zoom call with the entire corruption team, right? What do we know about corruption right now this far this year with what's going on with the Chandru and Winston case? We know that Laura Kelly is still spouting off corruption. She's spouting off the shirt. I was still trying to come back. There is no spot open on corruption right now. How does corruption feel about that? How would you feel as a member of corruption knowing that like one of me is going to get dropped if I can get Laura Kelly? How can corruption be like a united
Just win,
team?
baby. Just win. You got to
Right?
keep winning.
You know what?
You don't
some
win.
kind of like
Quick.
some kind of motivational
exactly.
speak or some fear going on between them. I don't know. But anyway,
I like Danie's
honestly-
idea, but I think it's a Zoom call between the managers. Chandru shows up trying to be the manager of Swag, gets booted out of the call by Shannon. Winston comes in, says, "I got bigger fish to deal with," leaves the call. And we get a little play between Roxy and Kate and Shannon, continuing the theme of the bad bitches of the world. And maybe we see some of that.
Billy, hey, you're correct, right? It's gonna be them three are gonna be the last people in the Zoom, and like the man with no name trilogy music plays, like da-da, da-da, and it's like zooms of each of their eyes one by one, and then Shannon's like Roxy, then Roxy's like Kate, and Kate's like Shannon, then Shannon's like Kate, and then Kate's like Roxy, then Roxy's like Kate. And then it's like that's gonna happen, man. It's gonna be like they're gonna take what's the dude's name? I can't say his name right. Ennio Marconi, is that his name?
Ennio Marconi.
Yeah. It's like they're gonna use his score for the face off, you know. Yeah, this is gonna happen. I like it.
This is gold.
I do like Will McLean in the chat says they call Mark Ellis for help, and he immediately hangs up in a jokingly way. That's
you know what? I think look at Ryan Kramer's next comment. I think so. Her first thing is she's gonna go to Mark Hoyk. He's gonna be like Mark Hoyk to use like dark magic. Exactly. Yes. Yes. Because he's because that man's a wizard. Have you ever seen that man? That dude's mustache and his beard and his long hair. It's like you are a wizard. Like Sam Wilson said in that promo, he's one of the big three. He's a wizard, an android, or an alien. He's a wizard. A sorcerer is a wizard without a hat. And that's what Mark Hoyk is. He's a sorcerer.
I need Mark Hoyk to be like whisper to her, like, I don't know actual magic, right?
Magic.
And, like, shut up and do what I tell you to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that idea.
All right, so I got one more question, and this is definitely more like in the standings of the Schmoedown. When did the quirky mercs push the panic button?
when they're -3.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. -3.
You know what? Honestly, they should push the panic button now because it's not looking good. It really isn't. Because they're big. One of their big guns. One of their big guns already lost. If Bibbs loses to Oyama, oof.
That's
gonna be a tough.
Okay. Realistically, like no jokes aside, if Bibbs doesn't beat Oyama, Koi breaks the glass, hits the panic button with ferocity. Either he chugs along, or he does something. I don't know what. He drops somebody, or he trades for somebody. He does something because he's full of a team. There's a lot of potential on this team. Like, I'm a big fan of Beth May.
Yeah.
I believe in Beth May. I think she'll do pretty good. But like, if two of your big guns lose, I know they lost to like good players, but still, they're your big guns. You know, you expect them to win as well. And John Humphrey got knocked out, and it didn't look close. Like, it didn't look good. And I'm gonna be real. And IG, 5 points in the first round is a death sentence. Literally. Like, how about you just like, if you only get 5 points in the first round, just tell Holoff, you know what, Holoff? Match is over.
I'll take the
match is
loss
over.
of this one.
Match is over. Like, match is over.
Save the questions.
Yeah.
Save the questions.
We'll save don't waste questions on me. Like that's what I thought. Like, against, like, if I was John Humphrey, I would be like, I only got 5 in the first round. You know what? Screw this. I'm going home. Bye. Like, I can see. Like, I'm out. So yeah. So like, yeah.
It's like Ferris said. Like, it's your two big guns, and they both. Yeah, they lost to good competitors. Assuming Bibbs loses to Oyama, but honestly, I feel like both of those matches, the Quirky Mercs are favored. Like, I thought Meyer was favored over Chance because of how far Meyer went into the singles tournament last year, and I think Bibbs is, in most people's minds, is probably favored over Oyama because Bibbs is kind of favored in every match he goes into. So if they lose both of those matches that people expected them to win, it's time to, you got to think about doing something. And you don't have to lose for a while, which is
Also, but I don't want to keep talking because it isn't my show. Like, we also got to see the matchups. Like, who are the Quirky Mercs facing? You know, matches will dictate if the panic button needs to be pressed.
Yeah, I think it is. I think, honestly, I got to agree with you guys. I think it's definitely though. If Bibiani loses, that's when the panic has to start. Might not necessarily go all in, but it's going to be like that. Like, well, what next? Well, what do we got next? Somebody's got to take that big step forward. I think it's like momentum. Like, I mean, because you know how it is. Corruption was in the last place for a long time last year, or was down, at least down low for a long time. It wasn't really until about midway through that they really made that big push. So that shows you.
When the IG tournament came.
It can happen. The IG tournament came, and now something happened. So you can't give up. But, so I don't know if panic is the right word, but you got to shake up somebody.
Don't forget, this is the thing. They have a big opportunity in that pay-per-view because you got Bibbs and you got Andrew DiMolanta.
Yep.
So if you come out of that with points, with a lot of points and a title.
Oh, you stand pretty. You stand pretty. You stand pretty.
If you come out with nothing, you're in trouble.
Yeah, that's what it is. And if you're
because if Andrew wins, he gets 7 points, right? So that's 6 points because of the negative. So it'll be 6, and then Bibbs is 2, which is 8, makes them tied for second place.
Yeah, and just like that.
Boom! Just like that. Because now thinking about that, the panic button shouldn't be pressed yet. If you think about it, because like Andrew, not yet. If they get any points this weekend, if Bibbs wins or if Andrew DiMolanta wins, you don't press the panic button yet. You're in good shape. Yeah.
If they come away with nothing, that's when you're in trouble. Because who knows when Andrew DiMolanta gets another shot at the title, and Bibbs and Brendan Meyer are both at the bottom of the barrel for singles matches. So
because if Bibbs wins, they get a point because it's 2 plus the negative, which is 1 point, which makes them what, 4th?
Mm-hmm.
Like 4th, right? Makes them 4th.
Yeah.
Megs will fact check us later. She'll shout out to Megs. I know she's asleep, but shout out to
you.
Do
you know when Teams is going to start up again?
Yet.
If Harloff gets his way until the pandemic's over,
Yeah.
Well, and it's going to happen
Yes.
before that. There hasn't mentioned that
Yeah.
there's going to be some kind of team thing going on. People have made mention of the team attorney, but we don't know exactly when it's going to start. The title match won't happen until pandemic's over. That's
Right.
The
definitely
only
something
thing
that's-
on the docket right now is in April. It says it'll be Shazam versus Final Exam.
that's
So
that's the number one contender
that's
match.
the
So there
number
will
one
be
contender
that
match. So
So
There's
there's
a
still
rumor-
that opportunity. If they don't come out of this weekend with that many points, then there's still that tiny glimmer of hope, because we do know that Shazam is a very dominant team inside of the league, and I believe they've already they've beaten Final Exam once before,
Yes.
correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
have. Yes.
And I'm not saying that it's going to be an easy win or a guaranteed win, because we definitely know that Paul Oyama is really trying to work hard and make sure. And Lon Harris is no one to sleep on either. So
Yeah.
it's a great team up there. It's a great team. So, but I do think that I don't want to say that Shazam is the breadwinner of I can't think of the right term of the faction, but Shazam is one of their heavy hitters, and that's really where they racked up a lot of points last season, and it'll be interesting to see where it goes. So at least there's that little bit of hope for points. It doesn't look like it's a total abyss for the Mercs.
Good word.
Like
good word
Shazam
choice.
was the reason. Shazam was the reason they were fourth. If the other members of the faction played better for last year, they could have been third or second, maybe. You know.
Yeah.
You know, like that's
Yeah.
the same thing with the Rockstars. The Rockstars were sixth, and then the big guns started playing. Like Draco, Schneider led the pack, and then Alex Damon's Alex Damon.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah, and then they went from sixth to third. They
Mhm.
leapfrogged Gucci, who was first for like 3/4 of the year, and they leapfrogged the Mercs when they beat them. So like you know what? It's only been 2 weeks. It's only been 2 weeks.
It's not a
So
situation.
yeah.
It's
Speaking hyperbole a lot. Yeah.
It's a start to get worried a little bit, yes, but no, panic is not the right word.
Yeah.
well,
Like you look at the button. You look at the button because it's negative, but you don't open the case.
Right. That's exactly what you're kind of like.
You get the nuclear codes out of the safe. You start authenticating things. You got to be ready.
Make sure you have a key card.
Yes.
But it's interesting because they'll be in a position where they maybe need to do something, and that's when you may start to see things like they make a trade to like to corruption, who sends somebody to swag and vice versa, or corruption sends somebody to them, they send somebody to swag, and swag sends Laura Kelly to corruption. That could be like the way that maybe Laura Kelly ends up back on corruption if that were to happen.
An NBA trade.
Because it's interesting.
Yeah.
So if DiMolanta, like let's say DiMolanta loses, okay, and Bibbs loses, and they need to like push the button. Maybe you do a package deal where you send DiMolanta to swag, so that when swag sends Laura Kelly to corruption, and then you get somebody from corruption out of it. I don't know who that would be, but
So wait, I have a question. Do I say Jeff's last name wrong?
Well, you kind of emphasize the
Oh, my bad. The Snyder.
Snyder.
Like Zack Snyder.
Like
Zack Snyder.
You kind of said it like
Okay,
Booker T.
all right.
You guys say Booker T way. That's all you did. You say Booker T way. Like the Schmoedown.
Yeah, Schmoedown. Booker T. G.I. Bro.
Schmoedown.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well,
I know who
those are
Booker T is.
my. What's that?
I said I know who Booker T is.
There you go.
Yeah. Hey, Danie, how many world titles has he won?
5-time world.
Yeah.
Five times.
You know what's weird? He's actually won it 6 times, but we don't talk about that. Just right
No.
now.
That's true. That's so true.
It's hilarious.
It doesn't have a ring to it. It's 5 times. So,
My favorite video of all time is when they're interviewing when he's like, Hulk Hogan, I'm coming for you, bleep, and then all you see is no. But here's the thing. It's not that he says it, it's his reaction afterwards. It's like, oh shit, I just called him blah blah blah. Oh.
No, that
and it's
Sherry with him. I think it's Sherry with him.
Sherry was You're like, this motherfucker, what? And Stevie Ray is too busy like being intense to like even pay attention to his words. And then he realized like, oh, did you just say that? What is wrong with you?
The things that can go wrong on live television, like when Sid Vicious thought he was on tape delay and it was actually live television and tried to restart a promo.
Or it's like Papa Shango being late and they had to like disqualify Sid Vicious, some odd president.
Sid Vicious kicks out of the leg drop, which had never been done before because Papa Shango was late.
Or it was like Ashley Simpson on SNL when she got the track wrong.
That's true. The lip syncing, which people like blew their minds. Oh my god, lip syncing! Like everybody lip
syncs.
What? Calm down.
You know what, Danny? I tried to help you out with that reference, but I didn't know what the hell you were talking about.
I'm trying.
I didn't get one to Bruce the Barber Beefcake when he slips in and he was supposed to stop Randy Savage from beating up Hulk Hogan, but he came into the scene too early. And he see him come in, and he has to go back.
He's like freezes for a minute. He's like,
"Oh shit, I gotta get out of here."
Oh, that is hilarious. You know what? Shout out to Papa Shango. Also is Kama. Also is the Godfather. Also is every other known person. Like Charles Wright's the man. Love Charles Wright.
He is.
By the end of this Schmoedown season, I will know all of the past WWE lore. So.
If you guys want to hear more about wrestling, you can tune in on Twitch Tuesdays with Nat and Dylan. They're gonna have the Warfather on there to talk some wrestling soon. Once Nat gets caught up on the wrestling, they're like a few weeks behind still, I think. So, but. We're here Schmoedown apparently, and that's been those are my burning questions of the week. Now we're gonna do a quick preview. We're not gonna do a deep dive into the matches. In fact, we're just gonna do a pick'em. I think we're gonna break it down to that. So we're gonna do a pick'em for each match. We're gonna start with Danie on the first one. The first match next week is Hannah versus Zipper. Danie, who you got?
Man, the first name that came to my head was Hannah. So,
Paul.
Hannah's the off the cuff one. Sorry.
This is such a tough one. So I gotta say, Zipper has always been so underrated. Hannah has made a lot of improvements. Something about Hannah got on my mind. That I think that Hannah might have it. And I love Zipper too. I'm gonna go Hannah. I gotta go Hannah.
Yeah.
Ferris, who you got?
I think I picked Hannah, and I think I gave a reason why, but I forgot that reason. I think it's because because I think Hannah beats a lot of IG players, but he just doesn't beat the players that end up winning the belts. So like, you know what I mean? And I like Eric Zipper. Like nothing personal to Eric Zipper. He seems like a wonderful gentleman. But I don't think Eric Zipper is like contending for a belt. So I just then say default to Brandon Hannah. You know what I mean? Like people were like, "Oh, Saul's great." Like you saw that match with Saul. Brandon Hannah beat Saul.
Right.
You know? Yeah, like Brandon Hannah won the 5-way with Chandru, Chance, and like 2 other people. You know what I mean? Exactly.
That was Chandru's first match. That was Chance Ellison's first match. That was Brandon Hannah's first match.
First match. Yeah. So and you know what, like, are we doing kayfabe? Are we doing kayfabe?
Go ahead.
Like, no, are we breaking it or are we like staying on kayfabe?
Either way.
I'm gonna break it. I like Brandon Hannah. I love Brandon Hannah. Like he seems like a wonderful guy. You know what I mean? Like I'm breaking it, and I secretly root for the man. Because publicly we can't. Because he's an ass. But like privately, he's a very sweet guy. So yeah, going Brandon Hannah.
Publicly, I root for him because he's the greatest man alive. Brandon Hannah wins this match easily. I'm thinking like a KO, TKO. Brandon Hannah is the once and future well, he's not once, but he's the future IG champion of the world. Everybody knows that. I don't know why everybody else on this channel doesn't know what they're talking about anymore. Also, he's the star of No Chill. Brandon Hannah was the star of No Chill recently. Check that out on our channel. It's an excellent interview. Once again, my boy Nat Vu and Dylan Camacho doing big things. The boys! Our second match of the week is two brand new players. We have the one and only Lacey Gillerin. Love Lacey Gillerin versus Gold Leader. Who you got? We'll start with Paul on this one.
Oh God, this is another tough one I had because I think I love Lacey Gillerin. I do love Lacey Gillerin, but everything I've heard about Gold Leader is making me nervous for anybody that's facing him. Like everybody seems to have like saying that he's one of the next big things. That he's because Harper's the one talked about, and like even Harper's like Gold Leader's not someone to mess around with. I gotta say that I gotta go with. I hate saying this. I love Lacey. I'm leaning Gold Leader.
Fair. So you got Gold Leader or Lacey Gillerin?
I picked Gold Leader, and Lacey like kind of like went after me for it, so I have to stick to my guns and say Gold Leader. And like it's not because I don't like her or like I like him more. It's that he's actually done trivia competitions. Yeah. Like he's won a multitude of trivia competitions, and that's the only reason why I picked him. It's not because I think he's better than her. It's that like he won trivia competitions. That's why. Like that's literally why.
Experience matters.
Danie, who you got?
Well, I have never seen any of those trivia matches, nor have I heard anyone else inside my ear telling me anything about Gold Leader, Mr. Evan. So I'm going with Lacey. I got to back my ladies up in this, especially in the Star Wars division. I hope that she really takes it, especially if there's going to be hype around Evan. Then I want Lacey to win.
All right. Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to both of them. I interviewed both of them here on our lovely program. Evan Bushgar is super enthusiastic and super excited to be in the Schmoedown. He has won some weird who gives a shit turn. I didn't give a shit if DragonCon players win in tournaments. Why would I give a shit about any other tournaments? I'm going with Lacey Gillerin. That's my girl. She's the one and only. Get it, girl.
The one and only. I love that nickname also, by the way. I really like that.
I'm not picking against ladies this year. Ladies are winning every match this year, unless they're facing other ladies. And then I got to decide which lady.
Then a lady will win the match. So
Get the right lady at that point. Okay, fair enough. Okay.
Our third. God, we have so many matches this week. Our third match of the week is Janine the Machine versus Jada the Hurricane. Holy shit! We get this match this early in the season. Oh, Ferris, my man. Who you got? Janine versus Jader.
Okay, so I think they have the reverse problem. Or like they have the same problem. They both like the second round always like gets them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nope.
Janine singing like in that horror match. Yes. Hello. Yes.
You're there.
Yeah,
you're
good.
Now you're good.
Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. You know what? Let me just get to this. I'm good.
Oh.
I'm good now.
Yeah,
I see you guys. Is Danie frozen?
Your computer's frozen. Or the video's frozen. We can hear you. Go ahead. You're moving now.
Okay. Good. I don't know who I picked. I think I picked Janine. I'm gonna go with Janine. Because I feel like I think I picked Janine. Yeah. Because it's always it's always like the little things that beat Janine. The question here and there. Like with me, it's like her first match in IG. I know it's like a different division, but like her very first match, she played very well. And then she got into that last round, and then something happened with her 5-point question that I don't know if everybody knows about it. It's that 5-point question is kind of wonky. So
yeah.
But then, like, she beat the Warfather, like a person who won his match last year, and but then Jader, he beat Jim Vavra. Jim Vavra is a good person. Yeah. This one's actually hard, so I'm gonna go with Janine.
Yeah, I you know what? I gotta say it's a tough one too because they both are our favorites of mine. I love both of them very much. I got a feeling I'm going to lean towards Janine, and the reason why is because I think that Roxy Stryer is going to make a big deal as far as it's going to be a big, important person to have in Jane Corder. Janine has needed somebody like a Roxy Stryer to kind of support her, kick her in the ass, because she's always kind of had that like I don't say self-confidence issue, but like she's kind of like a little shaken after the last couple of years. I've been getting close, but not quite making it. Close, not quite making it. Having someone like Roxy do for like her what she does like for Jeff Snyder in a way could mean everything. I can't wait to see this partnership make its debut.
100%.
I agree. I also have Janine for this one. I love Jader. You know, Jader's a good dude, and I have nothing but confidence in him in the Schmoedown. I think that he will continue to do well inside of this league. But when it comes to the two of them going against each other, I really do think that Janine having Roxy in her corner gives her a bit more of an edge, because Janine's always been one of those players that we know is there, that we just know is there, just had unfortunate matches happen and just a little run of a bad luck. And I think having someone like Roxy to make sure that her confidence is completely boosted throughout the entire match is something that will show up. And I think that I hope that Janine really does well in this season.
Yeah, I know I just said that this is the year of the ladies, and I know I said I'm picking all ladies this year, and I'm doing it. It's Janine. Shut your faces. My girl. You can't beat her. This is her year, all right? In the past, people try to make her out to be something like bigger than she needed to be. Like she was going to carry this thing. She's going to be the next this. She had to be the best partner for this person. This season, she's on Roxy's squad. Roxy's all about just be yourself. Janine's back in her comfort zone, just answering questions, knowing stuff about movies, enjoying herself in the Schmoedown, and it's her time to shine. Sorry, Jader, the hurricane's about to blow out. All right, that's how we do.
I don't know if anybody heard when my internet was cutting out. Janine trained Jader, so boom, in your face.
That is true.
The teacher will be the teacher, and the student will not be the master.
I love it.
That's all I got.
Next we got the undercard. This is the undercard of the pay-per-view. Bibiani versus Oyama. Danie Joy, who you got?
Man, I really want Paul Oyama to win. In my heart of hearts, I want Paul Oyama to win. But I think overall, Bibbs might take it. Again, this is a harder match to choose between Janine and Jader for me, because I feel like Paul and Bibbs are both up there where they need to be with the knowledge. We've seen them play very well inside of this league. And Paul, I think Paul is, I don't know, this is a tough one for me. I want Paul to win, but I think Bibiani is going to barely take it.
God.
Fair. Paul?
I go back and forth on this one entirely. Both of them, every time I say one, I go, about the other. Bibbs has I think Bibbs has more momentum in this corner at this point. I think he really has that desperation to want to do something, but like we were talking about before with the quirky Mercs. He really is like, I got to win for the Mercs, but I got to get some points for them. You got to get to the positives, right? So with that in mind, does it work for him, or does he put too much pressure on himself? Maybe he puts too much pressure. Maybe he cracks Mary Pauliam and gets to slip by. But I kind of feel like it's going to go Bibbs. Barely.
I do think that both of these players know how to play against each other, and I think that that's also what's going to be important inside of the match. Paul is going to know how to defend himself against Bibiani, and Bibiani is going to know exactly how to work the offense against Paul Oyama.
100%. This really option is going to come down to it's going to not luck, but this luck of the wheel.
Yeah.
Whoever gets the right wheel choice is what's going to happen at this point. Because they're both going to do well in round one. They're probably both going to do pretty well in round three. So you're coming down to the wheel, or it's going to come down to the 5-pointer. That's what it will come down to pretty much.
That's enough of that. That's enough of that trash. How dare y'all talk against the family? How dare y'all speak against the OG? How dare y'all speak against sweet baby
Paul.
The baby shark. It's Paul Oyama. The bad luck for the quirky Mercs goes. They might be at -2 after this, because my boy Oyama is about to come in here and just do damage against the Bibster. He ain't knocking him out. Sorry, he's not.
Yeah, that's a little strong. I love your heart.
Don't against the family. You don't go against the Action Army. Paul Oyama, OG Action Army member. So is Janine. News to Jake Yacovetta. So we're not picking against the Action Army. That's what I'm here. That's what I'm here for. I think Ferris might have a customer still, so we're gonna.
I'm good. Yeah, I got you.
Right.
I'm ready.
What do you got?
Yeah, I'm going with Bibbs because Bibbs has a tendency to go perfect more than Oyama because one of them's going perfect.
Yeah.
One of them's going perfect. So the knowledge of knowing that either Bibbs knowing that Paul can go perfect, and Oyama knowing that Bibbs can go perfect is going to be intense because they know if this it may not be the end all be all, but their mind is already in their head saying one question all it could take is one question missed.
Yeah.
One question, and I'm gonna go with Bibbs because sometimes Oyama misses one or two questions in the first round. Yeah. This is splitting hairs here. It's not like, oh, I'm picking Bibbs because Oyama's trash. Like, no, it's not. I'm picking Bibbs because, the hair, I'm saying, because I remember one of the final exam matches, Oyama missed more questions than Lon. Right. He missed 3 questions in the first round, or was it 3 or 2? So that's what I'm saying is, one of them's going perfect. Whoever goes perfect, because it's not going to be like, oh, Bibbs beat Oyama because Oyama missed 4 questions. No, it's like Bibbs beat Oyama because Oyama missed 1 question. Or Oyama beat Bibbs because Bibbs missed 1 question. Or someone multiple choice on something that they shouldn't have, but they did because they wanted the point. That's what's going to happen. And I think Bibbs can go fully perfect.
100%. Yeah. But you don't bet against the baby shark. Oh, all right. So we got one more match. It's the final match of the week. It's a huge one. Alex Damon puts that Star Wars title on the line against the man who's just hungers for it so much, Andrew DiMolanta. We're gonna start with our biggest Star Wars fan. So we're gonna start with Danie. Who you got?
I'm definitely a bigger Star Wars fan than Paul. I just want to put that on the record.
100%.
Again, I know that I talked about this recently. Oh, I did talk about this recently, and you can see this. Go and follow Tim Sim. Tim Sim is going to come out with his own after show also, and the Insight is what it's called. So go and check that out. That's where I definitely talked about it. But I think that Andrew DiMolanta is definitely very, very hungry. But I think that Alex Damon is going to take it. So I think Alex Damon is going to keep the belt, but I think that it's going to be a very, very close match, and that's what I'm going to go with. I'm so sorry to Andrew DiMolanta. Because I really do want Andrew to win. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to Alex Damon. This is hard.
Yeah.
Look, how funny would it be? I got to say, how funny would it be? This is the season of Star Wars and the season of Star Wars pickups. It's all about all the Dragon Con players coming in. The Star Wars News Net people are coming in. Gold leaders coming. All these huge stars will finally give Alex Damon a challenge, and then DiMolanta is the one that takes the title. How funny would that be to me? But at the same time, I don't think it happens. I think Alex keeps it right now. I think Alex is too strong at this point. I think that storyline wise, sometimes storylines work out because they're supposed to. I kind of feel like Damon is supposed to keep the title and face it. Someone like a Thomas Harper or someone like that at that level. That's my thought process behind that. So I'm going to go with Alex Damon.
Yeah, Paul, as usual, is just spouting nonsense. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He is half right. Alex Damon definitely wins this match. I feel like Andrew DiMolanta wants it too much. Mm-hmm. Andrew DiMolanta's been it's like one step forward, one step back his entire Star Wars career. He makes his debut. He loses to Laura Kelly. He loses another match. He's 0-2. He gets to the Star Wars tournament, makes it all the way to the finals, loses in the finals to Ace. Now he's got a title shot. I think he loses again to Alex Damon. I think Andrew DiMolanta is putting too much pressure on himself to win the title. There is no pressure on Alex Damon because what does he have to lose? He can lose the title, but he's the greatest Star Wars player of all time. I don't care what anybody says about freaking Sam Witwer. Oh, it was in 2 matches. Go suck an egg. If Sam Witwer would come out of retirement, who gives a shit? It's not happening. So let's move on. But the person who is going to win that belt from Alex Damon, her name is Laura Kelly, because we ain't picking against ladies this year, Paul. The ladies is winning it all, Paul. And that's why Alex Damon will beat Andrew DiMolanta, but he ain't beating Laura Kelly. He ain't getting past her. Ferris, who you got? DiMolanta or Damon. A lot of D's going on here.
Okay, I got Alex Damon. He's gonna win it. Now we talk about how Andrew DiMolanta is hungry. Well, Nikki better make him a big lunch because that's the only food he's gonna eat. Okay, like Alex Damon saw that Star Wars tournament and saw how people were going perfect left and right. And then his first Star Wars match last year, he goes perfect until that last. He could have knocked out Ace if he knew Han Solo was in 5, not 4. You know what I mean? So like his first match, he almost knocked out the man we kept talking about during the tournament. That's how deadly he is. He went from he's like, here's your shiny new toy, and I almost knocked him out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bring your other shiny new toy. Bring in Tom Harper. Bring in Murray. Bring in Zach Burkett. They're my friends. Yes, we know they're your friends. Bring them. Bring your shiny new toys. Watch me smack them with my mallet. Because here's the thing. People don't understand. Like, no, here's the thing. Like, Alex Damon created Star Wars Explained because he wanted to compete in Dragon Con. He was still young in Dragon Con when he lost to Thomas Harper and all them. He has a Dragon Con. People talk about, oh, the Dragon Con people, the Dragon Con people. Alex has won Dragon Con. He's won one.
Yeah,
he's won one. So like, don't sleep on him. That's all I gotta say. 100%. Hey man, Alex Damon, my close personal friend, Alex Damon. You know, we talk on the regular. Yeah, I am like, you know, like he's all faithful. He's all faithful. Here's the thing. There's the things that are guaranteed in life: death, taxes, the New York Knicks always being popular for no apparent reason, and Alex Damon defending the Star Wars belt every year.
Facts.
Yes.
Facts.
Yes. Did y'all see that stat? Did y'all see?
If I sent to Eric.
You know, like literally, do you not know? Like there was a stat in Facebook that said in his 5 years, these are
the list of players. Yeah.
His 1 5 years has been like 10 singles champions. Yeah, like this the person who's held a belt. That's crazy. It's insane. That's bizarro.
Yeah, it is crazy.
It is. Players. It's true.
Yep.
But every reign has to come to an end at some point. You know. And that's when Laura Kelly takes the title. Because we ain't betting against women this year. It's the ladies. Ladies, everybody.
Well, I'm betting against Thomas Harper, friend of C2A, is going to be on C2A next week. Just so you know.
Facts. And I will tell him what a great match he'll have against Laura Kelly for the title because she's taking it. But we've been on for a while now, folks, so we're going to get ready to get out of here. Before we do, I believe do we have a NatVu fantasy update?
We do. I can share it if you want. I got
pull that up real quick. Yeah. Ferris, before we do the NatVu, where can people find you so we can
yeah, you can find me every Fridays at the Let's Get Ready to Talk Schmoedown podcast, 6:00, and the Let's Get Ready Network, you know. That's where you can find me. Oh, and now every Thursday we're going to be on the Schmo Me the Money YouTube channel. We're doing a franchise retrospective on the Fast and the Furious. This week is week 3, and we shall go to Tokyo. Tokyo Drift, baby.
That's the Teriyaki
Black, Boys. Yeah, starring Lucas Black. Starring Lucas Black, who also showed up in Furious 7. So point that out for Action Army fans and founding members.
That's true.
Named Ben Bateman. Yes, I said your name, Ben Bateman. I'm talking to you. I don't subtweet. I will say it to you, Bateman. Yes.
Directly to his face.
Yes. Directly to his face.
Citizen, we're gonna let you go. We'll talk to you another time, brother. Thanks for coming on the show.
Still Action Army though. Action Army for life.
We know you are, Ferris. You're my favorite person on the Action Army. So take care.
All right, guys. We'll talk. Having this night. I gotta get back to work. You know, some unruly customers, like this one.
Have a good night, man.
Man, I love that so much.
Love Ferris so much. Nat has a fantasy update for us, as he always does. Let's see what he has to say this time.
I love that. Extremely
this is where I give you some fantasy advice, and I wanted to say some stuff last week, but I just forgot. So I really wanted to do when I mentioned Dan Merle, I was going to be like, winter is coming, and I'll take it. There's nothing in here. That bit was for last week, so I didn't get to do that. And also, when I was talking about Christian retweeting my segment, I was going to mention how it was like it's like you're just minding your own business, and a hot girl comes up to you and is like, "Hey, your butt looks nice in those jeans," which has happened to me several times, and by several times I mean just once, and I'll never forget. So anyway, we're let's address the elephant in the room. Last week I was in first place, and this week I am in second place, right behind Alex. But you know what? That's okay, because we still got a long season ahead of us, and I've got a lot going for me. Exhibit A.
10 times better with that big bunch of curly hair than he does with trimmed up hair. I will say, I think there's something about that ruliness with that big wavy hair. I don't know if it's just because I'm extremely attracted to Nat. That's why, because I'm extremely attracted to Nat. That's why, because I'm extremely attracted to Nat.
So yeah, beautiful woman just said she's extremely attracted to me. I think I'll be okay. Which is why for this segment I will be giving you some very helpful fantasy advice on my hair, how to get your fancy hair. So tip number 1 is this obviously everyone's hair is different. So this might not work for everyone, but this is just what I do if you want hair like mine. So I use conditioner every 4 days. So you definitely do want to use conditioner to condition your hair and whatnot. But definitely don't overdo it. You don't need to do it every day. So every 4 days is good. Next advice is to be careful drying your hair. Like don't go all crazy on it. Just like gentle strokes. Your hair is very fragile when it's wet. So keep that in mind. Number 3, just be born with it. If you're not born with it, then it sucks to suck. And if
That's a mistake we made.
I guess you can use a curling iron.
Pretty much.
I consider that cheating. And I don't condone cheating of any kind, Cindy. Number 4, don't use too much product because no one likes that.
Oh my gosh.
And then that's your fantasy segment for the week. Back to you guys. Oh shit. Fantasy Schmoedown. I guess. Let's go through the matches this week. Saul versus John Humphrey. If you got Saul, then good job, because that was definitely a steal. You got a good player, and he's probably going to play in a lot of matches because he's a very big personality, and the fans love him for good reason. And I will say, John Humphrey, I love the real rejects. You will not find a bigger fan than me. I love him, but I'm gonna have to say that if you have John Humphrey in your team, I would consider dropping him and picking up someone. I would consider picking up a rookie who's unproven, because with John Humphrey, you know what you're going to get. And I love John Humphrey. I do. But I would take a chance on an unproven rookie in replacement of him. Next match, Brother Lomas versus Frankie Alvarez. I am not on Call Live, so I can't sing the praises of Brother Lomas because this isn't that segment. But I love Brother Lomas, and he has put in such great character work that even though he lost, he's going to get a ton of matches. So I would say buy low on Brother Lomas. And let's not let Frankie Alvarez get overshadowed, because Frankie Alvarez is a killer. I got to say, my man, you look damn good in that Yankees hat. Don't let that dirty Red Sox fan, Paul Denuzio, tell you any different. You look like a champion. And he's going to big things in his future. So if you have him, keep him. Don't trade him away. Next 2, Chance Ellison, Ben Meyer. I mean, obviously, you should not be trading these 2 away unless you get like a ridiculous offer. Like Chance Ellison should have been drafted in the first round, and Brendan Meyer should, at the most, he definitely should not have gone past the second round. So I can't really give advice on 2 quality players, And I guess that's been your segment. Hope you enjoyed. Back to you guys at Call Live.
I was told what happens on Twitch stays on Twitch.
You were
not if you're attracted. Yeah,
you don't know what Twitch clips are?
So Danny's attracted to Nat, and that's what is it? That's
extremely attracted to Nat, I believe is the quote that I said.
Extremely, yes. Facts from Robert Adams. Nonsense. Robert Adams hair is exactly. Before we go any further, though, can we appreciate the quality hair that we have on screen right now? Not mine or Paul's, not that ridiculous mustache or whatever this prepubescent beard is that I have, but Danie Joy, goodness, dark.
Va-va-voom. Va-va-voom.
I grew it myself.
Oh.
Maybe she's born with it. There's a chunk of it missing back here, but it's fine. You can't see it.
I don't see what you're talking about.
Oh man, well, that has been our show tonight. But before we go, as always, we got to do some shout outs and some where can we find yous and some sort of things. Shout out to everybody who was in the chat tonight and stuck with us through this almost 3 hours that we were on tonight. Crazy. It feels like 2 shows because we had both Frankie on and Ferris on. It was a massive show because there was so much to cover this week between what happened that last week and what's about to happen next week. Obviously, next Saturday we'll have even more to break down. Paul, where can the people find you? Actually, just say where they can't find you because you're everywhere else, you freaking weirdo.
Find me on Turn It Up to 11 tomorrow with that guy right up there. We'll be talking the top IG moments of all time. That should be a blast and a half. We're going to be back on Chilled Action next week. All 3 of us. This is the Chilled Call. It's live. Whatever. I'll say it now. Like I said, next week's guest, The Boat, Brad Gilmore. We're going to be talking a little bit of a FCL potentially. Maybe make something. I don't know if the see we have going on there. We'll find more out about the FCL, as you can find me as well. And of course, you can find me on Action Industries as well as PLD Projects. That's where I'll drop it.
Fair. Danie Joy, where can the fine folks find you?
You know me, y'all. You can find me on Twitter at DanieJoy, DanieJoy. It's currently private because the girl's trying to get a job. So if you request for it and it shows that you're a Schmoedown fan, then I'll probably approve it anyway. You can also find me here, like Paul said, next week with Chill to Action. That's next week, right? Not this. I'm trying to look at my calendar. No, because y'all are doing Turn It Up to 11. Next week, we got Brad Gilmore coming on Chill to Action. And then also before that, the Sunday before that, As the Wheel Turns, we'll be returning. We had a slight hiccup yesterday. We were supposed to do it yesterday, but we're going to push it back to the 21st. And that is where we go over the storylines and the cutscenes. We'll be able to dive a little bit deeper into the ones that we talked about today. And then with whatever we see from next week. So that's going to be a fun space for the storylines. No, don't bring me any of your critical, like logical nonsense over here. We're getting fun. It's like it's an expanded Danie's Conspiracy Corner over there. So check that out next Sunday, the 21st. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and you can as always find me here next. First tomorrow with that man right there, Paul Denuzio, for Turn It Up to 11. We are doing the greatest IG matches of all time. We're gonna turn it up to 11. Normally you can find me on Twitch Tuesdays. Unfortunately, I will not be on Twitch Tuesdays this week as I am on Schmoe the Money this week, representing C2A as we destroy everyone as we always do when we're on Schmoe the Money. But in my place, you can find the amazing Warfather Eric Barnes talking some wrestling with our boy Navu and Dylan Camacho. Probably some cheese talk as well. You never know. Also tomorrow, be sure to check out After Action Report with Megs. That's going down at 4 p.m. Eastern time. No, is that wrong?
No.
4 p.m. Western time.
It's 6. It's always at 6 Central, so it's going to be at 4
Pacific. 4 Pacific,
Central,
7 Eastern. Central time doesn't exist. And then again next Saturday, I will be back here, Call to Action Live. As Paul said, we have Mr. Thomas Harper on, so we'll probably not talk any Star Wars whatsoever. Now, of course, we'll be breaking down that amazing match between Lacey Gillerin and Gold Leader.
And AD versus AD.
What's up?
And AD versus AD. Milana versus Damon is also going to be that.
Yeah, that's right. We'll have them for that as well. So so much Star Wars this week. Oh, man. Is there never enough Star Wars?
Never enough Star Wars.
But yeah. But yeah, so again, check out all of our shows here. Call to Action. I'm sure Schmoedown will be coming back soon with Alex. Yeah, we got After Action Report, Turn Up to 11, Chill to Action, Call to Action Live. Also, check out. You can check me out on Twitter at Mr. Billy Belford. Check out what Kelsey's doing over on her Twitch channels. You know, we're all doing stuff. We got As the Wheel Turns coming back. I'm sure Watch the Books coming back on Danielle's regular channel. So we got a lot of stuff going on for you all. We love all of you. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to everybody in our Patreon. Shout out to everybody, you know, showing us love. We love all of you guys. And yeah, C2A2K would be amazing. And we couldn't do without all of you and your support. And thank you so much. Danie Cost talking to our birthday, March 28th, coming up soon. We'll probably have a little something planned out. Give your puppies a belly rub, or cats too. I guess they count as animals, right? You know, love to your people, as Danie says all the time. And we love all of you, and we are out of here.